Pledge of Allegiance, and after that, would you please remain standing for a moment of silence for the CAL FIRE equipment operator, Brandon Varney, that was killed on the Ferguson fire. Thank you.
Please join me in a salute to our flag. I pledge allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Thank you. Okay, oral communication. The public may speak on any item not on an agenda. Please keep it to 2 minutes. Thank you.
Hello.
Okay.
Ladies and gentlemen of the board, thank you for the opportunity to speak. My name is Elizabeth Harper. I'm come forward today to register my opposition to the May 1st resolution passed to declare Tuolumne County not a sanctuary jurisdiction. There are various legal reasons one could argue for not doing so. However, I feel that'd be the easiest way out of the situation. And I'm sure you've heard all of those arguments before repeatedly. I object on moral grounds, and thanks to the message, if not the substance, of the resolution. I feel that it conveys to the immigrant community of Tuolumne County and to the people of color of Tuolumne County that they are not wanted or appreciated here. That may not have been the intent, and I apologize if I've offended any of you by intimating this, but I do find that many of the folks here who answer that description are now more afraid, more uncomfortable here than they were before. They're concerned that being bullied and tormented here is being institutionalized now, that I know that several of them have begun carrying their papers for fear that they will be stopped. And I believe that the protections of the California Values Act, or sanctuary state law, are sufficient to protect our citizens from any crimes that are committed by those elements who are not documented on our soil. I believe that this resolution does more harm than good to our community, and that it should be walked back. But more than that, I believe that we cannot allow law to supersede our conscience and the dictates thereof. I believe that we should consider the impact that it will have on the very real and live people who reside in this community. I believe that it is what is best for all of us to do what is right rather than what is expedient. Thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Gray and board members. I'm Gary Stockel, Agricultural Commissioner here for Tuolumne County, and I'm here to announce that after 36 years of work within the agricultural system, that I will be retiring at the end of December of this year.
Cancel. Not accepted.
Tentatively, right?
No, not tentatively. I will have completed my 4-year appointment at that time, and it's time for me to explore other interests and activities. I began my career in 1982 in Alameda County. My career spans 3 separate counties, with over 7 years of service in Alameda County, 25 years of service in San Joaquin County, and it will be a complete 4 years of service here in Tuolumne, which has been the best position that I could have ever imagined. Thank you so much for hiring me and allowing me the opportunity to serve the citizens of Tuolumne County and bring forward your policies as you let me know what they were. I'm announcing this today to provide plenty of opportunity for a solid recruitment process, and I look forward to helping the CAO's office and Human Resources in that process of selecting my successor, just as Vicki Helmar did in searching out a successor for herself. And I've got to thank Vicki for reaching out to me in encouraging me to apply for this position. It was a wonderful move. It was at the right time in my career, and I've just truly enjoyed being here. My career did start much before 1982 because, as you recall, I do have background in animal services, which is one of my hats that I wear, being the Air Pollution Control Officer, the Sealer of Weights and Measures, the Director of Animal Control, and the Agricultural Commissioner here. But I began my career in animal services in 1973, and so I've got a lengthy work history, but 36 years in the Agricultural Commissioner's office. I do look forward to working forward on any challenges that present themselves as I finish out my time here, and certainly am anticipating a successful recruitment process to replace me.
Well, we certainly have appreciated you, and we certainly will do a proper goodbye if you happen to leave.
Okay.
I'm looking down the dais. I don't see any smiling faces.
No, the smiling face you see is here.
Right there.
I've got to admit that I'm looking forward to it. First
Thank
half,
you.
hiking the John Muir Trail next July, all 211 miles.
Oh, jeez. Thank you.
Good morning, Chairman Gray, members of the board. Linda Downey, Chief Probation Officer. I would like to share with your board and the public that Governor Brown has proclaimed July 15th through the 21st as Probation Services Week. As Chief Probation Officer in Tuolumne County, I would like to take the opportunity to reflect on the critical work probation does in our criminal justice system and say thank you to all the men and women of my department who work tirelessly to protect our communities, reduce recidivism, restore victims, and promote healthy families. Even though probation is the most frequently used sanction in the criminal justice system and the role and importance of probation in California has increased significantly in the past few years, probation sometimes can have a singular meaning that does not accurately represent the multifaceted mission and work probation departments do across California. Probation is committed to a research-based approach to public safety that promotes positive behavioral change. In other words, research has proven that communities are safer when we give offenders the tools to succeed in life after incarceration, all the while holding them accountable to their actions. These tools can be anything from appropriate counseling to addiction recovery or job skill training. Our multi-dimensional approach to community safety includes holding people accountable through community supervision. Investment in services and evidence-based rehabilitation is critical to lowering recidivism. But equally important is ensuring those we supervise are accountable for their choices and behavior. A critical part of people understanding their choices, how those choices impact their lives and those around them, including victims, is providing the tools to change criminal thinking. Thinking for a Change is one kind of evidence-based program that is integrated cognitive behavioral change program to assist individuals in better understanding the process of their decision-making and how to change cognitive decision-making norms that have led to past criminal justice involvement. Tuolumne County probation officers and juvenile hall staff received training this past year to implement this particular program. This approach and work probation does helps restore victims and prevent future victimization. The best thing we can do as law enforcement is prevent a future crime from being committed and prevent future victims. Research and evidence show us that these strategies and practices do just that by lowering recidivism. Consistent with probation's role as evidence-based and data-driven decision makers, we also have a lesser-known but critical function to investigate and draft sentencing reports for the court following a conviction of a felony. We investigate the facts of the case and the offender's background and recommend an appropriate sentence by objectively assessing the law and facts of the case. Additionally, probation runs a locked detention facility, the Mother Lode Regional Juvenile Detention Facility. Our staff are intensely trained in the latest scientific research about what works to change behavior. Our staff works tirelessly to safely supervise these youth, to prevent them from hurting themselves or each other, and to provide comfort and resources for them when the youth are confronted with the realities of the trauma they have experienced. Probation prepares these youth for transition back into their community or into foster care for a limited period of time. No other law enforcement entity touches so many aspects of the criminal justice system, and no other has the unique, innovative, and multidimensional approach to community safety. When we are successful, the payoff is immeasurable. From the prevention of future victims and making our community safer to the value of saving a life and helping regenerate a contributing member of our community. Beyond the personal and public safety impact probation makes, there are enormous and obvious cost savings for the entire criminal justice system when we succeed in our mission. In Tuolumne County, your probation department has a staff of 48 who supervise at any given time approximately 700 adult offenders, which includes 40 to 50 on the electronic monitoring program and 100 in the pretrial program. And there are approximately 100 involved in the juvenile justice system. It is with great honor that myself and all probation department employees take such pride in our work. We protect the community, support the court, assist victims, and help rehabilitate offenders. This is why probation is so critical to our county and state and will continue to be the linchpin of the criminal justice system. Thank you.
Thank you. The next speakers can have, I think that was 3 hours, 3 minutes, excuse me, 3 minutes and 10 seconds. So you're welcome to take that much time. Thank you.
Thank you. I hope I don't need that much time. My name is Dwayne Cornell. I graduated from Sonora High School in 1965. I've always known Tuolumne County to be a conservative place, but I've also known that the people of Tuolumne County are compassionate and caring and open, and any one of the people that I went to high school with, I could ask them for help at this moment, and it would be instant. And that's why I find it disturbing that just unanimously you all signed that piece of paper that says that we're going to comply with the federal desire to chase down immigrants, and there's also a California state law, or at least a proposal that counteracts that. So basically what we have here, and this is not news to you, is a battle between the state and the federal government. The Sonora City Council, after considering that this thing would probably be in court for the next 200 years, decided that they would opt out of making any comment on it. I think that in line with that, I would ask you to rescind your unanimous approval of that document because it really is of no concern to us. We cannot resolve it. It's up to the courts to resolve it. And I think that it should just be left to them. So if you would rescind that, it would send a message to everybody, not just the immigrants in this community, but to all the people that I know that, hey, we're okay. We're okay with it. We'll let the courts decide. We're compassionate. We're not afraid. We welcome people of all types into our community. And so just in keeping with our basis as a compassionate community, I would ask you once again to rescind your approval of that document and let the courts take care of it. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I'm Paolo Maffei, and I'd like to thank Craig Pedro for his years of service, and he's just way too young looking to retire, but and I also serve with John Gray, who I have a lot of respect for, and I served 8 years on this board. I, too, am an immigrant and was welcomed to this country, which allowed me, actually, to serve 8 years on this board. Because I'm perhaps the oldest person in this room, I hope you'll allow me a little liberty in giving some historical perspective. On Friday, I went to Tuolumne, and there was a play, Animal Farm, by George Orwell. Very well done. And it was somehow relative to what's going on today. The lying, the change of language, fake news, very disturbing. I think American democracy is a lot stronger than the democracies or whatever they had in Germany, Italy, or Spain in the 30s. But nevertheless, there's some things that I think, from my own life, relevant. We were bombed in England by Germany. I sat in air raid shelters with the earth moving. And then my dad was transferred to Germany, and we lived in Hamburg as a young child, 2 years after the war. The only Adolf in all of Germany was my father, who happened to be called Adolf. There were no Adolfs in my class at the Heinrich Hertz Oberschule, which is rather strange because you know damn well there were a lot of Adolfs around before that. The worm had turned. It was no longer respectable to be associated with the fascists. The same is true in Italy. Mussolini was hanged by his feet 10 kilometers from our hometown in Switzerland. He was trying to get to the Swiss border. The worm had turned. And I think after yesterday's performance by our president, perhaps the worm will turn in this country. We're living in very dangerous times. And I recommend 2 books. The Brothers, which shows how U.S. foreign policy led up to what we're experiencing today. Personally, that touched us with the murder of a very close friend of ours who was an American priest under a Guatemalan dictator, very much like many of the military dictators of Latin America, installed basically as a result of the brothers, John Foster Dulles and Allen Dulles. And the other one is Chasing the Scream, The War on Drugs. And those 2 books, to me, give you the reason why these people are trying to get into this country. I lived in Latin America for 25 years. They're basically good people with the same aspirations and defects that all of us have. They're fleeing for their lives, many of them. Some are fleeing for economic reasons, but most of them, when they go to these extreme measures, are fleeing for their lives. So I would urge you to think of how history will look at you in the future, and all of us, when the worm turns in this country and the truly evil policies of this administration are seen in historical perspective. Thank you.
Thank you. Board consensus of continuing the public comment longer?
Sure.
Okay, come on.
Good morning, Chairman Gray, members of the board. I'm Jennifer Lopez, the marketing manager for the Tuolumne County Visitors Bureau. And I am here today just to introduce to you a new campaign that we rolled out at the Motherlode Fair a week and a half or so ago. It's our Visiting Friends and Relatives campaign, where we are essentially inviting local residents to be tourism ambassadors and inviting their friends and family to come to visit Tuolumne County, experience it for themselves, and also maybe getting some of these local residents to go out with them and re-experience Tuolumne County. So to do this, we created a postcard, I wish you were here, postcard. I'll leave some of these with Mr. Pedro. And you can write a note on the back, put a friend or a relative's address on it. We'll take care of the postage, mail it for them, and maybe we'll see if we get some vacation planner requests, and we're coming up with some ideas on how we can tell or be able to assess how many people are actually coming because of this campaign effort. We're getting the word out for this through social media with local press releases. We are also going to be having these at the Westside Tribute Band Brew Fest this weekend, and so that was. One more thing I wanted to say is that through July 21st, through the day of the Brew Fest, we are offering an entry for local residents who do partake in this program. They can fill out the postcard, get a free ticket to enter to win a staycation here in Tuolumne County, featuring a stay at Lazy Z Resort, a one-night stay. So, thank you.
Thank you.
Good morning. I'm Lori Lehman. I'm a photographer artist at the Aloft Art Gallery. I'm on the Sonoran Chamber of Commerce and the chair for the Second Saturday Art Night, which is proudly celebrating in December their 100th consecutive Second Saturday Art Night. I'm also on the Vision Sonora Design Review and Marketing Committee, and today here before you as the VP for the Tuolumne County Arts. And I just want to thank you for supporting growth of tourism in our community, and I would love for you to consider the arts of Tuolumne County just as valuable of an investment. What kind of Tuolumne County do you want to live in and share with others? Thank you.
Thank you.
Hello, my name is Sarah Graham, and I'm an art teacher for Big Oak Flat Unified School District. And I just wanted to speak on behalf of TCAA. So my experience as an artist and teacher is a direct result of the services, support, and community provided to me at TCAA. I found a renewed calling as a teacher as a result of working directly with art students at one of CASA camps years ago. I continue working in the arts and as a teacher, knowing I owe a great deal to this organization that helped me gain the courage to do so. TCAA provided a welcoming, open-minded, and supportive environment that creates space for artists, makers, students, and art lovers alike to come together. As a teacher, I cannot stress enough the value of having a place for children in our community to express themselves in healthy, positive ways. The animation camps and field trips are unique and invaluable to kids interested in working in the arts industries. The CASA camps and FLA camp provide an avenue for students in the summer months to try new forms of art. The Makers Lab provides a place for students to invent, tinker, collaborate, and use 21st century skills to create unique works of art and design, skills students need to learn in our ever-changing information-based economy. The value this provides our county is immense and unique. It is a reflection of what a great place this is to live. All the services provided to our community represented here are integral parts of what makes this a thriving place to live. Making the tough decisions to cut arts funding or any of these services is an incredibly difficult task. I urge you to remember the heart of what makes up our community. I'm sure that you do, our children and our culture. Tuolumne County Arts celebrate what makes us great, teaches our children soft skills and higher order thinking skills, and provides tourism dollars, which further spurs community and economic development. Thank you for your time.
Thank you.
Good morning. Thank you very much for hearing us this morning. My name is Paul Zach. I'm a retiree to Tuolumne County, and I just wanted to speak to you for a moment about your decision on May 1st to sign that document that it really sends a message to folks that Tuolumne County is not a welcoming place. I would really like for you to reconsider your decision to have signed that and take yourselves out of that argument. Take yourselves out of that political maelstrom. It's not a good place for you to be. The state should come to terms with the federal government, and that's how it should be handled. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak? Seeing no one, would the clerk please read the consent calendar?
Minutes of the meeting held July 3rd, 2018, finding that summary of ordinance number 3333 through 3339 were published, adopting a resolution continuing the local state of emergency as required by the California Emergency Services Act, Article 14, Section 8630C, due to severe weather and flooding, and also due to pervasive tree mortality. Approving correspondence on the final draft Bay Delta plan for the lower San Joaquin River and Southern Delta, adopting a resolution adopting Chapter 10 consultant selection of the Caltrans Local Assistance Procedure Manual, and any updates thereto for the procurement of agricultural and engineering professional services for capital projects that are federally funded through the Federal Highway Administration programs. Approving the reappointment to the Tuolumne County Local Child Care and Development Planning Council, and that would be Donna Mace, Chantel Fowler, Emily Foster, Kelly Thomas, Caitlin Hansen, and Katrina Herrera, and Aaron Gandolfo Bruno.
Does the board wish to pull anything on the consent calendar? Any public comment on the consent calendar? Bring it back to the board.
Move approval of the consent calendar.
Motion by Supervisor Brennan, second by Supervisor Hanvelt. All those in favor? Aye. Passes 4-0. Supervisor Rodifer absent. Clerk, please read item 6A.
This is consideration of approving a written argument in favor of the Measure M, a commercial cannabis business tax for the November 2018 election, and appointing members of the board to make minor changes and prepare and file a written rebuttal as necessary.
Good morning,
Peterson.
Chairman Gray and members of the board. Liz Peterson, County Administrator's Office. I am here today because last meeting, July 3rd, your board approved a commercial cannabis tax measure to be placed on the November 6th ballot for voter approval. The ordinance that was approved would only become effective if your board later approves commercial cannabis activities in Tuolumne County. The measure for the ballot is called Measure M. M as in Mary. Let's see here. So, yes. Sorry. That was not intentional. And that's not on purpose, the Measure M. That's just how it fell. Okay, so we had discussed at the last meeting that your board was interested in submitting a ballot argument in favor. And so that's what I'm asking your board to approve today. Any individual who's eligible to vote for this measure is eligible to file a written argument with the county elections official. The argument cannot exceed 300 words, and it would be included in the voter information guide. The clerk has set the deadline for these arguments as July 25th, and so your board has until July 25th to have it be submitted. Only one argument in favor and only one argument in opposition actually are published, regardless of how many the county clerk receives. If multiple arguments are filed, the following priority applies. So first, any argument that's submitted by the Board of Supervisors or a member or members of the Board of Supervisors takes priority as what's published. And then any bona fide sponsors or proponents of the measures are next in line. Then bona fide associations of citizens, they're next after that. And then any other individual member. They would be given fourth priority for which if they submit an argument and if it's published. If your board does today choose to approve the argument in favor of the measure, as the authors, you are also then permitted to submit a rebuttal. Only an author of the argument that's published is able to submit a rebuttal. The county clerk has set the deadline for those rebuttals as August 6th. And so the rebuttal cannot exceed 250 words. So if today your board chooses to approve the argument and wants to approve a rebuttal to assuming an argument in opposition is published, then you would need to delegate one or two members of the board to work with staff to approve a rebuttal should that be necessary. Again, that deadline is August 6th, and so your board would not actually meet before the deadline to approve anything, so you would need to do that, as I mentioned, with one or two members. If you were to delegate those members, the rebuttal would actually come from the full board, but it would only be written with, like I mentioned, the two members and staff. So today, you essentially have three options. You may have more that you come up with. I'm presenting you with three options. You can approve what I presented you today, the draft argument, which I believe you have up at the dais, and there's some copies in the back. You can approve that today with any minor changes you may want to include or major changes. You can set aside a member or two members to work with me on making any major changes or substantial changes but it's due July 25th. Or you can choose not to approve anything and move down the priority list. And then you can also delegate two members to work on the rebuttal piece of things. So kind of convoluted. Hopefully that makes sense to you all. There's that, like I mentioned, there's the draft argument that is for your consideration and any changes that you may want to make.
Okay, I have a question for County Council. Does this take 4/5 vote to approve this?
No, majority
Okay,
vote.
thank you. One comment I have is that, we wanted to make this clear that this does not authorize marijuana businesses in our county. In the first two lines, I would like to see the second line moved to the top to highlight that, if there's any objection to that. And is there any other board comment?
Yeah, because when I do read this again, it's difficult because we're saying on the first line that we absolutely are not this doesn't authorize any commercial activity. But when I look at the last statement in particular, for me it says, dozens of other cities and counties in California have set up a tax structure similar to Measure M to encourage marijuana businesses to join the regulated market and help eliminate the illegal market. And that, to me, sounds like we're headed towards it's a justification for having commercial activity. And so I would suggest that we put a period after Measure M and delete the last sentence.
I've got something I can use those words for. 300 words, right? Are you done? I'm sorry. I didn't mean.
No, go ahead.
Let's see. Give me a second here. I wouldn't mind adding a line at the very end that says, it says dozens of other cities and counties in California have set up tax structures similar to Measure M, period. I would say in the event that the state allows commercial marijuana activity, we don't want to be in a situation where we are not able to collect the revenues. Something along those lines. I'm sure you can word it better than I can.
And actually, that kind of gets at a point that
That's
I
really
think
the sentiment of
clarifies
the
some of
board.
this middle part also, because that really, for me, was my really my thought process for moving forward on this tax piece was simply to be preemptive of where I think the state of California is going to go, and I don't think we've captured that here. This feels more like we're looking at commercial activity.
So did you get Supervisor Royce's?
I did,
word?
yes.
And I'd give you latitude to wordsmith that.
Okay.
Supervisor Hanville?
Yeah, there's there's a number of issues here, and I share these concerns about the confusion. That's one of the big issues I've got with this whole thing is the confusion this whole issue puts on the ballot. Can I suggest that we have a couple of supervisors meet with Liz offline and bring us back at 1:30, and so we get some wording right instead of wordsmithing here.
Okay, I'm going to let the two experienced marijuana people do this, Supervisor Brennan and Supervisor Royce. Is that...
Different kind of experience, John.
I didn't say users. I didn't say
you
users.
still might want to get elected
Members
around
of
here.
the
I just said that because they have been on that committee and I have more insight on some of the other stuff. Would that work for you? Okay, because I think we'll have some time.
Sure.
And we'll bring it back at 1:30.
Okay, sounds good.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, public comment.
Good morning. I did not prepare remarks for this because I came for a different reason, but and I'm sorry that I was not able to come to the previous meetings where you guys discussed this at length, but I have been following the issue behind closed doors with much interest and in the issue. And I want to just express my appreciation for the comments following this announcement of your need to write this approval. Sitting there as I was listening, I was getting really nervous about the forward direction of marijuana, commercial marijuana growing in our community. And I just want to encourage you to keep up the diligent pursuit of looking into the details of it. It sounds like you guys have done a lot of thinking about it and talking about it, that there's still question as to how this is going to move forward. I have yet to formally register my opposition to commercial growing, but I'm glad to see you guys are working hard to think about all issues. I am a little taken aback. It seems like we're putting the cart before the horse on this whole tax thing, but I understand it's probably because of how it came up with the state. Not knowing all that detail, I just encourage you to continue vetting this to the best of your abilities as we move forward. And I think my whole nervousness on this whole issue doing the Measure M at this time is that the Board of Supervisors come across as approving marijuana in our community, as opposed to the tax dollars that might come after such a measure would be approved later. So anyway, thank you for thinking that through.
Thank you. And we will be bringing this back at 1:30, so we'll welcome comments now, and there will be other comments after the 1:30 discussion.
Yes, I'm Bob Kirk from Ewok Village. Thank you for giving me the opportunity to speak. As your board well knows, there are two sides to every story. This is why you're planning to provide arguments for and against Measure M in the Voters Information Guide. There was also discussion of the county running an educational program regarding Measure M. If that program moves forward and the county spends our tax dollars promoting commercial marijuana taxation, will equal time and equal funding be made available to educate voters on the downsides of Measure M? If equal time and equal funding is withheld, then the county is essentially acting as a promoter of commercial marijuana. At least that's how many people who spoke at the July 3rd meeting felt about Measure M. On the other hand, providing an equal and balanced educational forum shows a more responsible position. Please inform us how this will work so the voice of the many in this community who oppose commercial marijuana can be heard. And I'd also like to add that I did read AB 924, which was ostensibly pointed out as being the motivation why we need to be concerned about putting a tax measure on the ballot. And I found that simply to be a harmonization of marijuana laws and rules for the Indian community with the state of California. I didn't find anything in there that insinuated that the state of California was going to overrule the authority of the counties to control commercial marijuana activities. Thank you.
Thank you. Any other public comment? All right, we'll bring that back at 1:30. Clerk, please read our next item.
Number 7 is consideration of waiving the first reading of an ordinance amending the Tuolumne County Ordinance Code by repealing Section 1004050F and amending Section 10.40, 10.60, 10.0470, 10.0490 to implement traffic speed studies recommended for Phoenix Lake Road and Soulsbyville Road and also to correct a clerical error.
All right.
Good morning, Chairman, members of the board. Tanya Allen, Engineering Manager. Under the California Vehicle Code, it sets a maximum speed limit for California roadways as 55 miles per hour, unless any deviations of the speed limits upwards or downwards must be performed and justified through an engineering and traffic survey. Engineering has performed 2 engineering traffic surveys for Phoenix Lake Road and Soulsbyville Road, and have determined that the 85th percentile has taken an increase on Phoenix Lake Road from 35 to 40 miles per hour, and on Soulsbyville Road from State Route 108 2 miles from that intersection, going from 30 to 35. We capture all these changes in order to enforce with enforcement, that's law enforcement, including CHP, in our Title 10. And These changes have also been brought in front of your Board of Supervisors Transportation Committee, which recommended adopting these changes. And just be note that I included a flow chart in the packet to really understand how the cycle works. We do the traffic surveys, we determine the 85th percentile, you have enforcement that writes the tickets, and then it goes into court in order for the courts to fine these people. It has to be all consistent. So we're bringing this forward to you today in order for that consistency and those increases on those roadways.
Any board comment? I do have some because, this has come before us before. From the supervisor's point of view, we understand that we have to follow the law. From the practical side, increasing the speed on Phoenix Lake Road, one of the roads that probably has more accidents than any other road that we have in the county, practically doesn't make sense. And I know that we don't have any a way around this if we want the Highway Patrol to give tickets. So I just want the public to understand we're kind of boxed in here on what we can or can't do. Is that correct?
Correct. Under that statute of the California Vehicle Code, we are held accountable to verify on the roads that we've already performed engineering and traffic surveys to continue that on a 10-year cycle or less.
And the reason we have to do these traffic surveys, could you explain to the public why we have to do those?
Well, a lot of times when the public will ask us to do it and reach out trying to reduce those speed limits, we would do an engineering traffic survey. Once that's performed, it determines the 85th percentile. So we get locked in at continuing because we've performed that engineering and traffic survey.
All right, thank you. Any other questions from the board? Any public comment? Okay, I'll bring it back to the board. Motion by Supervisor Royce.
I just have to say I so agree with your comment, and I hate being forced into these positions so that we can have the enforcement out there. It's absolutely, it doesn't make sense, but we get forced into them, and so reluctantly I will second this.
Okay, motion by Supervisor Royce, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 4-0. Supervisor Rutherford absent. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
I would like to do the reports at the afternoon. And do we have time to do some of the closed session items? All right. Would the clerk please read? You might as well, just in case we can get them all done.
So, closed session with conference with real property negotiator, price and terms, authority government code section 54956.8. The negotiators are Craig Pedro and Daniel Richardson. First one is 0.404 acre parcel known as a portion of Block 6 of Common Lands in Groveland, and 0.47 acre parcel APN 97-010-28, formerly known as the North Hess Avenue. And then we have a conference with legal counsel, existing litigation, authority government code section 54956.9D1. San Andreo Gatto et al. Versus County of Tuolumne County Superior Court case number CV61711, and David Lee Brock versus Tuolumne County et al., United States District Court, Eastern District of California, case number 117 CV01610 LJO JLT.
Expect to report anything out?
As to item 10, yes.
Item 10. Okay, any public comment on the closed session items? All right, we're going to adjourn to closed session, and we'll be back at 10:30 for a 10:30 appointment. All right, we returned from closed session, and I have a couple things to report. On item 10A, Supervisor Hanvelt moved and Supervisor Brennan seconded, and by a vote of 4-0, the board approved the county council to defend the county in the matter of San Diego Gatto et al. Versus County of Tuolumne et al., Tuolumne County Superior Court case number CV 61711, the personal injury action arising out of a plaintiff's slip and fall on the Groveland roadway. The board approved submittal of the matter for determination of insurance coverage and tender to defense to CSAC EIA, and the board approved a retainer agreement with Spinelli, Donald, and Knott to represent the county in this matter. Closed session item 10B, Supervisor Royce moved, Supervisor Handel seconded, and by a vote of 4-0, the board approved the county council to defend the county and any named employees in the matter of David Lee Brock versus County of Tuolumne et al., United States District Court, Eastern District of California, case number 117 CVO 1610 LJ0JLT, a civil rights action arising out of a plaintiff's incarceration in Tuolumne County Jail. The board approves the submittal of the matter to determination of insurance coverage and tender of defense to CSAC EIA, and the board approved a retainer agreement with Spinelli, Donald, and Knott to represent the county in this matter. Will the clerk please read our 10:30 appointment?
This is a public hearing to consider Ramirez Budfather collective appeal of a notice and order that was issued on June 27, 2018.
Okay.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Deputy County Counsel Carlin Drifdahl. Before you today is a co-compliance appeal of a June 27th notice and order regarding illegal cannabis cultivation and other code violations on a parcel located on Italian Bar Road between Diamond Placer Circle and Star Ridge Road. This is the first appeal under the revised code compliance procedures your board adopted in the spring. Under the county's code compliance ordinance, your board is the hearing body for appeals. In terms of process, first, the code compliance officer, Doug Oliver, will provide you with an overview of the investigation and the case. The evidence presented by the county constitutes prima facie evidence, which means that it is sufficient to establish a fact unless disproved or rebutted. The burden of proof for the county is preponderance of the evidence standard. This means that more than 50% of the evidence points to the existence of a violation. Then, the appellant has the opportunity to present evidence in response. Your board can ask questions at any time. Now, although this is a hearing before the board, it is not a standard public hearing in the traditional sense. The public may comment, but not as part of the hearing portion of the agenda item. After reviewing the evidence, hearing from the code compliance officer and appellant, and any public comment, your board will determine whether all the violations are true, just some of the violations are true, or none of the violations are true. If your board finds some or all of the violations are true, staff will be asking for direction regarding the abatement period and fines to impose through the final abatement order. If your board finds none of the violations are true, staff will withdraw the notice and order and refund the appeal fee to the appellant. If there are no questions about the hearing process, I can turn this over to Code Compliance Officer Doug Oliver to present the county's case.
Okay, go ahead.
Chairman, members of the board, Doug Oliver, Chief Building Official. What I want to do is briefly give you a summary of the code compliance activities and then provide a PowerPoint identifying the facts of the case and the evidence that we have discovered on site. On September 20th, 2017, the Building Safety Division observed satellite images that appeared to be a large outdoor cannabis cultivation on the subject parcel. At that time, we had several other cases that we were acting on, so this was put in the queue as come back to it next grow season. So on May 14th, 2018, we followed up with a site inspection. We drove by to see what we could see from the public right-of-way, and we identified what appeared to be a very large cultivation site that included hoop structures, we began working with County Counsel's office to obtain search warrants for this and other sites in the area. On June 26, 2018, we had scheduled to go out and do an abatement inspection based on that warrant. However, the warrant was not prepared, so we went out to try and obtain consent to enter the property ahead of a warrant. We brought the Sheriff's Department deputies from the Narcotics Task Force with us as security. And in the process of approaching the site, we did encounter a gentleman leaving the site who was identified as Valencia Ramiro. Through a brief conversation with the individual, he indicated that he was present living on the site and that he did grant permission for us to inspect the site. So at that time, we did enter the property under his permission, and we did a full inspection of the site, and there is several alleged violations that have been determined based on the PowerPoint presentation I'm about to show you. Okay, so I'm going to turn around here so I can see what I'm doing. Okay, so location data. There is no legal address on this parcel, and there is no dwelling on this parcel. The parcel number itself is the only identifying feature, with exception of the physical location between Diamond Placer Circle and Italian Bar Road. The parcel is zoned RE5, which is a residential estate, 5-acre minimum. Property owner is Francisco Ramirez, and the appeal was requested by the Budfather Collective. My big head's blocking the way again. Okay, hang on a second. From the desk? All right. My apologies. I make a better door than a window. Okay, so the county alleges numerous zoning and building code violations based on the site investigation that we mentioned before. Primarily, the violation is outdoor cultivation of cannabis on the subject parcel. Yeah. Okay, so case facts. This case is limited to the administrative enforcement of Tuolumne County Ordinance Code and its adopted regulations. So any of the state regulations regarding cannabis in any of its forms, we're not addressing. This is simply our code compliance ordinance and Ordinance 1767. So any discussion of cannabis cooperative legal requirements or licensing at the state level, we are not tackling any of that. Okay, so Chapter 1767 is our cannabis regulation. It does regulate cannabis cultivation within Tuolumne County. The specific outdoor cultivation limitations are 1767.050 D3 prohibits cultivation within 1,000 feet of a sensitive use. In addition, 67.040H defines sensitive use to include federal land. 67.050B2 prohibits the use of gas generators for cannabis cultivation unless in the case of emergency power loss. So the intent is you have an electrical utility being provided that has been inspected and is deemed safe, and should that system fail, in order to prevent loss of your product, you can temporarily use a generator. Okay, moving on to building code sections, we have 2016 California Building Code Section 105.2. This is specifically work exempt from a permit. Structures exempt from a building permit include one-story detached structures used as storage sheds, playhouses, and similar uses, provided the floor area is not greater than 120 square feet. And in general, that means that if you have a structure less than 120 square feet, but it is used as anything other than something similar to that, it would require a permit. So a pump house with electrical equipment, electrical service, a well that it's protecting, that doesn't fall under the guidelines of similar use to a storage building or playhouse. Tuolumne County Ordinance Code Section 8.05.045 requires standard storage containers, And those storage containers are specifically identified as non-absorbent, watertight, vector-resistant, durable, easily cleanable, designed for safe handling and containment of refuse without overflowing. Okay, 17.64.020 specifically the limitations on recreational vehicles. If you have a primary use established on the parcel, in this particular zoning, you are allowed to have 2 RVs stored on the parcel. In addition, if you have a primary use on the parcel, an RV can be used for no more than 30 days in a calendar year. A 2016 California Fire Code. This is going to take a little bit. I'm trying to rush through it because there's a lot of code sections here, so I apologize.
It's okay. Go ahead.
Okay, section 605.5, extension cords. Extension cords in general here they're not to be used as permanent wiring. They're not to be run through building walls, through attics, through floors. They're not meant to be plugged into permanent appliances, and they're not meant to be used where physical damage can occur either by the environment or by impact. There's several different ways that extension cords can become a serious fire hazard if they're left out and are being continuously used. The Tuolumne County Ordinance Code, Chapter 1.10020, a public nuisance is defined in Civil Code, Section 3479. Essentially, if you have a nuisance as not defined in building code or our current cannabis regulations, we can explain that more with county council if we need to get into those weeds. Case facts. Okay, any condition caused or permitted to exist in violation of any provision of this code or its adopted codes or state codes. A violation of this code includes, but is not limited to, all violations of this code and its adopted codes or failure to comply with any condition imposed by any entitlement, permit, agreement, or environmental document issued or approved under the provisions of this code. So here's the actual property shown by our assessor's parcel mapping. As you can see, the red box is around the area of the subject parcel on Diamond Placer Circle, specifically Lot 37. Adjacent to that, highlighted in green, is an identifier that adjoining parcel is National Forest Service land. So there is our sensitive use within 1,000 feet of the cultivation site. Okay, so unpermitted structures were determined to be present, specifically this structure, which is a pump house. It's built around a well. It is enclosing extension cords, permanent wiring that is servicing the well. But in addition to that, there was a bed found inside, and it appeared that someone may have been residing inside this structure. So it does not qualify as a playhouse, storage shed, or similar use by definition in the building code, as previously mentioned. Unpermitted structures. These are the hoop structures that were found on site that are containing the cannabis cultivation. Each one of them is made out of essentially PVC pipe that is bent into a hoop with plastic draped over that, and those hoops are supported by a framework of 2x4 framing on the exterior. As you can tell inside, the support is all 2x4s. In this particular case, the construction method does not in any way comply with conventional framing as defined in Chapter 23 of the California Building Code. In addition, as evidence here, there's a lot of extension cords in a handful of these structures that are powering inverters to supply power to grow lamps. The illegal storage of trash. In several locations, there were piles or distributed debris. This includes food waste, paper waste, cans, fuel containers, jugs of nutrients. In addition to that, there was evidence of animal carcasses or piles of feathers where animals were processed. And these are kind of hard to see, but you can see some of the jugs on the wood. Interesting note on this one, this is actually a creek in this area that was defined on the APN map as a drainage. This has been altered in order to have more room for the grow. So improperly stored chemicals, our primary focus was the fuels and the pesticides. Now there was a lot of nutrients. Those did not factor into our limitation on stored chemicals because they're essentially not defined as a hazardous chemical. However, there were a handful of containers that were not labeled that had chemicals or nutrients. We couldn't tell which because it wasn't labeled properly. We'll get into those slides in a moment. Most obvious, though, were the fuel canisters in various locations. Some of them tipped over, some of them just stored out in the open. Generally, we take better precautions in storing flammable liquids. In addition, any of them tipped over, this is within close approximation of a water source. So that is a concern for us under public nuisance. In addition, you can see on the picture on the right, we have the well head and the extension cords leaving the building through holes in the walls of the building. In addition, you have what is 12-gauge Romex, the yellow wiring there, for those who don't have a construction background, and some other scraps of wire. In addition, there were several propane tanks discarded on site, and a lot of grow cultivation pots. Nothing was really condensed in any one location. So here's some of the containers that we weren't sure what it was, nutrients or chemicals or pesticides, we don't know. There was a crystalline material in the jug we see here with a measuring scoop. I don't see any protection or identification as to what it is. Proper identification is a requirement. Okay, so here's more evidence of the canisters, the fuel tanks. In addition, that box around the trees was a makeshift shower area. And this is the RV that we believe is being inhabited. As mentioned before, the individual we saw leaving the site identified that he was living on site. This RV did have ice chests with food on ice. In addition, there was waste around the area that would indicate staying there for far longer than a month. In addition, I don't know if it's very easily seen here, but to the left there is actually a chicken pen with a handful of chickens inside the pen, denoting that there's someone living there for the duration. Okay, so after we received the appeal, during the processing of the appeal, the 5-day period on the notice and order came due, and so we went out to see if we could see any changes to the property at the 5-day mark. We did view the premises from the public right-of-way in 2 different locations, and it did not appear that there was any change in the program out there. You can see there, you can see the plants through the wire on the other side of the wood framing for those hoop structures. Okay, I get to stand a little longer. All right. So what we would ask is that your board make findings that the violations do exist, and that you direct me to prepare a final abatement order for the correction of those violations and the payment of penalties that are due. Now, there's a few recommendations we could make. If your board decides, you may decide that some or all of the violations are not in existence. If you agree that there are no violations, we will set aside this and refund the money. If the violations are upheld, you can specify which violations. In addition, you can decide, based on good cause, to reduce any penalties that we are recommending. At this time, the penalties accrued and the abatement costs thus far would total $2,737,000. $2,800. I'm going to take that back. $2,740,731. Forgot the abatement cost. Sorry.
Could you separate the abatement cost out from that? Do you have a specific number for the abatement cost?
Yes, the abatement cost. Hold on, I'm going to pull this out. Okay. Time to do some math. There's two abatement costs, and as your board adopted, the abatement cost is specifically the amount of time the county spends processing a case of this nature. And it was based on the health and safety code violations that we do regularly. So there's an initial abatement cost of $1,452, which is to set up the case, do the initial investigation, write the notice and order, and put them on, put the violation on notice that, hey, well, there's a correction needs to be done. If the abatement doesn't happen within the time prescribed on the notice and order, or there's an appeal and it goes to a notice and order, there's an additional abatement cost of $1,479. That is to basically round out our investigation. So those fees are established by your board that are separate from the penalty amount that was adopted by your board as a daily penalty based on health and safety code.
And that is based on the number of plants?
That is correct. Each plant is a separate violation. However, the other violations on the parcel, those are all lumped into one violation. So we have the other violations there would only count once, where each plant would be separate.
Okay, any questions from the board to Mr. Oliver at this time?
I have one more thing to add, sir.
Okay.
One other recommendation is that we require the abatement to be immediate. Your board has the option to extend the abatement period out to 15 days. However, from the date of discovery, it has already been 3 weeks. And so there's plenty of time for the appellate to recognize the violations and correct.
Okay. Any questions? All right. Now, process, it's time for the appellate to, if they wish to speak.
That is correct.
Okay. And then I'll call for public comment after that. Yes. All right. Is the appellate here and wish to speak? Appellate apparently is not here.
Nobody wants to play with me.
Okay. And, all right. So now,
Just
go ahead.
so you're aware, under our ordinance code, the failure of the person requesting the hearing or his or her representative to appear at the hearing shall constitute a failure to exhaust administrative remedies. Failure to appear at the hearing shall not affect the proceedings, and the hearing will proceed, and all matters will be resolved without the participation of the person requesting the hearing.
All right. Thank you. And that is not appealable.
They would not have exhausted their administrative remedies.
All right. Thank you. So now I can open it up for any public comment on this. Okay, I'm going to bring it back to the board for action.
Comment?
Sure.
Well, first of all, thank you to staff for utilizing our new ordinance. I don't think there's anything more powerful than incentives when it comes to public policy, and whether they be deterrence or positive incentives. I think they become very effective because people are motivated by what the result is going to be when they make decisions. So, unfortunately, this is more of a policy statement for other discussions, so I'll wrap it up. Good job, staff. $2.7 million. That's scary. That's scary. So I think that sends a message. And just for future reference, I think this is an effective way to deal with people who do not follow our ordinances and impose this kind of horrific violation. So with that, I'll just move to deny the appeal, right? Is that what we're looking for? do I need to add something to that, Carlin?
So we're looking for staff direction to complete the final abatement order with the abatement appeal or the abatement period. Mr. Oliver is recommending immediate abatement, and then the 2.7 fine.
Excellent. So I will make that motion. And just one other final comment. I would like to just say that, like I said, I think this is an effective program, and I am optimistic that in the future we will find sustainable revenues to continue to have this kind of program.
Yeah. But one more item is that the final abatement order would be directed at both the property owner, Mr. Ramirez, and the responsible party who appealed, which was the Budfather Collective.
Okay, in question is as far as collection of these fines and process, if they're not paid, what's the length of time they have to pay in order to pay these fines?
We'll have the property and it'll be a mess.
I believe it's 30 days. There's an option for a payment plan of a third, and this can also be turned over to Revenue and Recovery.
Okay, and should they not pay, then the property will be liened for those?
Then we'll be bringing options to your board.
All right, thank you. All right, so we have a motion by Supervisor Royce. I'm looking for a second.
Second.
Can I comment?
Yes.
I was going to make the motion because I think this is District 2, but that's okay.
Sorry,
That's
I'm
okay.
excited.
I noticed. I just want to thank the staff for this. I'm a little fearful that this is the first of many of these kinds of things. But getting right on it, I think swift abatement, swift action is what's required in these cases. I appreciate the extra effort that you put in a well-documented case here. So I fully support this. When you say immediate abatement, what does that mean?
That means that they're required to remove it immediately, or the county will move to abate the violations ourselves.
What does immediate mean?
Immediate
Today,
means
tomorrow?
Today.
Got it. Okay.
Sir?
I just wanted that clear.
Go ahead.
I do want to point out, we appreciate the positive sentiment. I want to include the Sheriff's Office for their support in this proceeding.
All right, so a motion by Supervisor Royce, second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Supervisor Rudolph absent. All right, thank you. I hope we don't have any more of those. What do I want to do? You want to take a break, or do you want to do
reports?
You want to do reports right now? Go ahead. Supervisor
Reports.
Hanveld, go ahead and report.
I always have a report. Three things that I think are important. I attended the NACO annual meeting in Nashville, flew back last night a little bit early, so I missed the tail end of it. A lot of good things happening there. The Honorable Supervisor Greg Cox from San Diego was sworn in as the president yesterday for the next year, and he appointed me as the chairman of the Public Land Steering Committee. And that's something I've been serving on for the last couple of years. So that will be interesting. The other two items that I want to share with you are that Secretary Zinke apparently is going to be here on Friday, and he is here with regard to item 4A on our agenda, the State Water Board and requesting increased flows. So, and I believe he's on our side, and I'm hoping that I'll get a chance to join that session with him. And the final thing is Chief Christensen, she's the chief of the U.S. Forest Service in Washington, has asked that I come and meet with her one-on-one at my next opportunity, which will be the Pilt fly-in for WIR. I'll be there representing Tuolumne County, rural counties of California, WIR, and public lands for NACO. So I'll keep that appointment.
Supervisor Brennan.
Yeah, so a couple of things. I'm looking for the date here. There will be a public meeting at, I believe it's at the City Hall, and I'm sorry, I'm trying to find the date, but to discuss where the transit center, they've talked about moving the transit center down the street, whether it will be on Washington between Stockton and Church or on Stockton Street between Washington and the bridge below Save Mart. So they're looking for some input, and I think there's a lot of interest in that. And the meeting will be Monday, July 23rd from 4 to 7:30 at the City Hall Council Chambers. So if you have interest in providing some input on that, please attend. Yesterday, I attended mother-lode job training for Supervisor Hanfelt, and there were a couple of things there that I thought were really informative. They are really looking at the WIB board, which is the Workforce Investment Board, and making certain that there's representation across all the spectrum. You know, when we look at the needs in Tuolumne County, we focus somewhat on hospitality and the recreation industry. Mr. Lester was appointed to that board representing natural resources, and I think he's going to be a really good addition and understands what they're going to need going forward in the natural resource industry and how we can help plug individuals into community college programs or other certification programs that are going to help us with that. And then the other piece that was real positive, and I think Supervisor Hanfelt really gets the kudos on this one. They received a USDA grant for $178,000 to look at the feasibility around biomass, and I think they're going to be working in conjunction with the HUD grant. But particularly, we don't recognize timber as an agricultural commodity. It is an ag commodity. It's the number one ag commodity in the state, in Tuolumne County. And so we haven't been the recipient of a lot of those USDA grants. And so I want to thank Supervisor Hanfelt for working on that. $178,000 to look at some of the feasibility on what we can do with all of the product that's out there that's not merchantable is going to be really beneficial. And lastly, Magic of the Night. It will be August 3rd, downtown from 6 to 9. The event is free. There's going to be a lot of live music, entertainment, and I believe they'll have a car show going on. Lots of good activities, so come out and enjoy the fun. That's my report.
Supervisor Royce.
No report.
Okay, just a short report. Last Wednesday, we had our monthly SWIFT meeting, and we had discussions about a report that SWIFT will be given to the Board of Supervisors. But that moccasin fire, we really dodged some really serious consequences there. And they used the fire breaks that have been designed and are part of the SWIFT program, and without those in place, that could have moved very quickly to the east. And again, it just shows the importance of that organization and all of the different departments that work together to make us safer. So that's my report. County Council, Clerk, Mr. Pedro, you have a long report? We got time.
I just say I had a great time with my grandkids and kids camping. That was the highlight. But I do want to mention that the person who will become your next CAO, Tracy Riggs, is at the Senior Executive Institute, University of Virginia, and primarily funded by the California Association of County Executives, my professional association. They renewed their scholarship program for up-and-coming county administrative officers and CEOs. I've only gotten one text for her, and that was under orders. I don't want communications from her when she's back there. that she was on day one and had already had an exceptional day. And I would encourage you, I'm just going to say this, don't text her, don't email her. To get the most out of this experience, she needs to unplug. I think she gets in the latest of organizational thinking and management leadership, but it's also having been there, and as other CAOs who have attended would testify, it's a life-changing moment because it really makes you go deep into why you're into public service and how to do that well. And it's just going to be outstanding for her. Really looking forward to hearing her report back when she's done with the program.
All right, thank you. And with that, we're going to adjourn until our 11:30 appointment.
Hey, we're okay.
But I would love to go forward with that, but because it is an agendized item.
No, you just stand right there with me. I don't want to have to handle anything. In fact, I'm ready to take my hat off. Is it going to be upsetting? Okay. Yeah, well, I didn't really want to be. God, I don't know. We're not on foot, by the way. They have some.
Yeah, how was that? Was it? You enjoyed it?
Okay, I'm going to call the meeting back to order, and we're going to go back to reports for a couple minutes here.
Reports.
Okay, Mr. Chairman, I must admit Supervisor Hanvelt gave me a nudge, and it was a good nudge. I wanted to leave this for Tracy to announce, but she won't be back in time to do that in front of this board. So I'm going to do this in two parts. With some excitement, but also some sadness, I want to announce that Ethan Billigmeyer, Ethan, come on up here, who has served the county, for several years. We swiped Ethan, from our Department of Social Services some years ago, and he has dutifully served the office and the public, most notably in the emergency services field. Ethan loves emergencies. Anything about water tanks you want to know, about tree mortality and all those kinds of things? Bark beetles, absolutely. That is his ponderosa pines. Those are all his specialties. But Ethan is moving on. He got an offer he could not refuse with City County San Francisco, so he's staying in the county and staying with us, and I'm sure we'll be interacting with Ethan in his new role. His last day with the county will be the 28th of this month. So I wanted to stand before you and the world and thank Ethan. And give your board a chance to skewer him.
Supervisor Hanvelt.
Yeah, I'm glad we're doing this because Ethan has been with us through a lot of emergencies, and the public doesn't understand because they're not there. The kinds of work that this guy does. Emergency doesn't mean you work 8 to 5. When you got an emergency, you got an emergency, and you can't ignore it. And Ethan, you've done a great job, and I appreciate the opportunity to work with you. I appreciate all the extra effort you put in. I know that, and it shows in the results. That's a big deal. And I, on behalf of the people of my district and really the people of Tuolumne County, thank you for a great job. Wish you well. Kind of wish you weren't leaving, but you got to go on to bigger and better things if you get those opportunities. So we wish you great success.
Thank you, sir. Appreciate it.
Supervisor Royce.
Yeah, well said, Randy. Congratulations, Ethan. I'm excited for you.
Thanks.
And, it's deal with emergencies, but really what you do is you help people, and you've helped a lot of people, and it's a very noble thing. And you're part of the team, some of our county staff that have been extremely effective in their jobs. And you guys have performed and been an example across the state. Really, really high regards for the work you've done here. And not only that, but you're also a great guy and a great person to talk to and hang out with. And
Thanks.
I wish you the best in the future, man.
I appreciate it. I've been with the county for 10 years, and I started off before the county took over behavioral health services. I started off with Kingsview, and I actually worked down at the Cabrini House, which is a house down in Jamestown for mentally ill adults with chronic mental illness. And so I was just out of college when I got that job, and I think back to all the positions that I've worked in with the county. I've been with public health, with behavioral health, with social services. They've all obviously helped me grow into the person that I am and understand how the county works and how government works. But I would definitely have to say that the most rewarding and the most educational portion of that has been the last few years here with the county administrator's office and with the OES and being able to work with your board. That's my recommendation for folks to try to, working in county government, try to get as much different experience as possible with the different agencies that are under the county umbrella, because each one of them has their own distinct challenges and also opportunities. So with that, I just want to say it's been a pleasure, and 10 years has gone by very quickly. And
You don't get to walk away quite that quickly because we haven't all had an opportunity.
Oh, I'm
to,
sorry, I
sing
didn't.
your
It's
praises
okay.
and,
Forgive me.
And actually echo what my fellow supervisors have said. But I was going to add one word to what Evan said, because it's not just the emergencies. You're working for the people, but you're working for them when they're in crisis.
Mm-hmm.
And your ability to handle that logically, methodically, and actually get them moved into a place, where they're at least temporarily, while they're looking for some solutions, has been just remarkable. And I think
Thank you.
Everyone that you have helped, I don't whether it was tree mortality or if we're looking at some of our fire emergencies, water emergencies, would all echo that your compassion and your ability to really get at the heart of what we need to do is phenomenal. And so Hetch Hutchie's gain will be our loss, but I'm certainly glad you're not leaving the county, and we're
No,
going to
I love it here.
still have a phone number, right?
Yeah. Haven't changed it yet. Just kidding.
My fellow supervisors have really done a good job, but I just want to add, on top of that, Ethan, you're just a real nice guy.
Thanks.
I really appreciate it. So, does he?
Oh. That's one of the perks of growing up here.
That
Everybody
helps.
knows my mom.
Yeah. But anyway, thank you for your service. I know you're not far away. Anytime there's something that you think that you have a question about Tuolumne County, Hetchy, I've lived it my whole life, so let me know.
All right.
Thank you.
Will do. Thank you guys so much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
Well, Mr. Chairman, also, as you've learned, out of disaster comes opportunity. So even though Ethan is leaving, we have some great talent within the county organization and within the CAO's office. And, when Tracy was still here, she did do a brief internal recruitment, and we pulled from the ranks of our own from a grant-funded temporary position level. She has appointed Jason Terry to be Ethan's replacement, and I'd like Jason to come on up here too so we can complete the embarrassment that's happening today. And Jason has been a great addition, again, under a grant-funded position to help with emergency services as well, and he's done a great job, more behind the scenes, than Ethan. But again, provided great service to us and to the public and your board. I think you're more aware of his skills and what he's been contributing, and wanted to announce him as our new permanent administrative analyst in the office to take Ethan's place. And I'd like Jason to go ahead and just tell you a little bit about himself and background.
You can only stay in the shadows for so long, I guess. I wrote it as long as I could. Well, I'm Jason Terry. I graduated here in 2006 from Sonora High School. Shortly after, joined the military and was in the Army for 7 years as a military police officer. And since then, I went and finished my bachelor's and master's degree of business administration and concentrating in accounting, and did everything I could to come back over here. So I'm back, and I don't plan on going anywhere.
Welcome. We'd like you here.
Thank you. I'm married to my wife of 8 years, Lindsay Terry, and have 2 sons, 3-month-old and 2.5-year-old. So life is exciting. But didn't prepare much, so if you have any questions, I'd be glad to answer them.
Any questions? Go ahead.
Just a quick comment. I just wanted to say congratulations as well, and it's always nice to see people, especially local people like yourself, young people, get into positions like this. I know you're going to do wonderful things, and I'm excited about the potential for you and the county. So do a good job.
Yeah, I want to welcome you to the team. You've been on the team, but now into a leadership position. That's a big change, but you've already made your impact felt, and you've done some good creative things, and we appreciate the support, and wish you success in our jobs to help you be successful. So thanks for joining the team. Thanks for all the work you've done, and we have great expectations for the future.
Thank you.
Yeah, and echo those sentiments, Jason. We've seen you in action on a number of these projects also, and I'm going to say, good job, Tracy. You made the right pick. So, welcome.
Thank you.
All right. Thank you. Okay, our 11:30 appointment. Thank you for indulging us to do some. Clerk's going to read our 11:30 appointment.
This is a presentation on the Tuolumne County Museum.
It's your floor, ma'am.
We don't turn off the lights yet, but that's okay. We're getting there. Well, I got to be able to see. Hi, my name is Angela Brown, and I'm the president of the Tuolumne County Historical Society. I want to thank you very much for having us here today to show you just a little bit more of the museum and some of the things we're doing. Before I start, though, I have been very remiss as president in doing something for somebody, and I need to do it now. I've known this gentleman for 55 years, and his name is John Gray. And we went to school together. We've done a few things we've done together, and up until he was so instrumental and so good to be on the Board of Governors, and I never got to thank him for what he did for the museum and the research and the society. And you all know he is Johnny Gray to me, and he will be till probably the day I die, so we're hanging in there, John. But I just want you to know how much not only did the society and the Board of Governors, but how much I appreciated you being down with the Board of Governors, not a year, but years. And I really, really appreciate what you did.
Make me feel bad.
No, I love you, no. But I have to tell you now we have another one, and his name is Randy Hanfeld. Now, John will tell you, and other people will tell you, that when I graduated from Sonora High School, I was known as the most enthusiastic. Well, baby, guess what? This gentleman has taken my place. He comes now to the Board of Governors meeting, and he not only brings enthusiasm, but he brings creativity. He brings a lot of questions. He brings a lot of ideas. And even though because I'm president, I'm on it, but I don't go to all the Board of Governor meetings. I try, but it doesn't make it that way. He has been really great with our people, and I really want to thank you for being a part of us now. It really means a lot.
Well, I want to thank you for that comment, but you know, the reason I wanted you to come here was because you are a great asset to this community. This committee does so many things. The museum is a treasure, and most of our population hasn't a clue that you even exist, and so we have to do that.
Totally agree with you. Totally agree with you. I don't know if all of you, and of course I can't turn my neck, but if all of you, if you know what the Board of Governors is. Do you know what the Board of Governors is? Oh, gosh. Well, I'm going to tell you anyway because I have to tell it. And if you look at the Historical Society, you see an umbrella, and you see the Historical Society with the point up there is where I sit, and then you have all these directors, and they do a wonderful job. But over here is the Board of Governors. And what is so it took me a while, but it's very exciting to have the Board of Governors because it's, even though we're on county property, and even though we do our thing with the museum and everything, we have the Board of Governors where both the county and the museum come together and do this. And it has been, for me, it has been wonderful to have the county people, whether it be a supervisor and or these other people, come down and give their ideas and be there because they want to be there, not be there because they're thinking, oh, God, it's another meeting. They're there because they want to help the museum succeed. And I want to thank Daniel Richardson. I never really got to meet him, but one day I got excited, and I have some projects down there, and I know I can't do anything without all these people, giving their nod. And I called this one group. I called the historic preservation people up, and I really don't know who I talked to, but must have talked to somebody important, because the next thing I know, I had Daniel Richardson coming down, I had Kanan Whitman, and I had Ed Hogue, and I waited for the big guy to show up, because if he had showed up, I knew I did something wrong. And they sat there, and they were just so wonderful, because I told them what a problem that we were having down there, and they all gave their input and advice. And so to Daniel Richardson, I really want to thank him and he's there as I call him the money man. I mean, he's the one who knows whether we can spend it or not spend it, or. Second one is Kanan Whitman. I don't know. I guess you guys give out appointments to people, or maybe Craig does. And we inherited Kanan when he came on. He's been great. I can call Kanan up and say, hey, what are you doing for lunch? And he says nothing. So he comes tootling down the hill, and we have lunch down at the museum. And that's important to me, because I need to be able to feel that I can call these people up, or that if we have a problem, or if there's something we need to do, that these people are there for us. The next one is Ed Hogue. And if you guys ever get rid of him, you're goofy, because I'll tell you what, that man is worth his weight in gold. He knows everything about your facilities, and with our facility down there with the museum and the patio and the history center, he's there. He's there. I know he cringes when I call him, or somebody says, Angela wants another meeting, and I try not to have too many, but Ed Hogue is always there. He's always giving us his best advice, and I have to tell you, he's the right guy for the job. Second to the last is Christina. I know when you get like where I am as president, we have such rules that there's only really certain people that can talk to certain people. They want to make sure it goes through the channels and everything. Well, before I get to Craig, I go through Christina, and she's wonderful. You have to know this. I keep telling Craig it's his right hand. I mean, she has been so wonderful to me and to the society, and she'll say, no, we don't do that, or I got to ask Craig, or go for it, baby. And so it's been wonderful to have Christina there too. But the last person I got to tell you has been so great is a guy named Craig Pedro. When I was a kid, I used to go down and play with these friends of ours, Pixie and Jackie, and right next door was this house with all these little boys at it. And it was the Pedro house. And I have been very fortunate to have watched this gentleman grow into the man he is today. And I watched him do the things that he's done with the county, and I am so very proud of you. Needless to say, I'm going to be the one that misses you, even though I know you're going to be with those grandbabies, and I know you're having the time of your life. I want to thank you for what you've done for the society and the museum. If you hadn't had that little spark for us, things might have been a little difficult. But you've been there for us, and I really want to thank you. So thank you. Enjoy your retirement. I'm not ready for it, but tell Tracy when she wants to meet, we'll meet and do our thing. So one of the things as president of the society is, and he'll tell you, and John will tell you, if you ask a lot of people in this county where the museum is, they look at you like you're nuts, or do you even have a museum, or how do you get there, or what does it do? Well, one of the things for me was that I wanted, how do I get that museum, and the board of directors too, how do we get the museum out in front of the public? We take little steps. Some of them are working, and some of them we have to keep working on. But one of the things that we came up with is that if you go on Facebook and you look at YouTube and you see all the things that are happening, you see that, oh, well, we have to come up to 20th century. So with Lisa Mayo and Bethany did this for us with the Visitors Bureau, and we put together a video that now has gone the web and goes everywhere between the Visitors Bureau and our website that it's out there, and it's important because I have to tell you, you don't realize how many people come to this county, and we just had a new sign put downtown by the vault, so it says 3 blocks this way. People are now coming. So it's like I said, it's the little steps, and if we can use something like this video, so I brought the video for you to watch.
Howdy do you folks? Folks that's wanting to be talked with me call me Hard Luck Lynn. And I am here to invite you into this beautiful old building. Now before we go inside, I want to tell you just a wee bit about it because this here was a jail. I know it don't look like a jail, but it was a jail. Now, back when Campo de Sonora was just getting its beginning, it was a wild, wild place. Well, we called it a Wild West before the West knew it was supposed to be wild. They had 50 murders that one year, 1850, at least 5. That's what they said they counted. Now, they had to have need of a jail, and they used all kinds of things for a jail, but none of it was really working the way it ought to be working. So they decided to build this beautiful building, and they got it all done in 1857. There come a fella now. He had himself a mining claim on the other side of Columbia. And he decided to come down here for Christmas to see what he could scare up, and I'll tell you, he scared up a whole bunch of trouble. He come here and he was so liquored up, he was shooting up the town, nigh on to killing his horse, and by golly, if he didn't get himself thrown in the jail. Well, folks, I don't know where that fella left his common sense. Maybe it was down in that last bottle of Old Joyful, but because he decided to burn the jail down. Now, a couple of things happened after that. First of all, the law said there was nobody at fault for the burning down except the fella that burned it down. And they also said that now somebody had to stay here at the jail all the time because some of them fellas wasn't using the common sense that they was born with. Can you imagine that? So they decided to build the front section here as a home for the person who was wearing the badge. And that's why it looks different. When you walk around to the outside, you can tell what was the home and what was the jail by looking at the windows. Now, I'm going to take you inside and show you a few things on the inside. So, come on in. This front section, it don't look like a home no more. Let me tell you why. This was used as a jail up until 1960. That's when they built that new fanangled jail just right over here, down the street a wee bit. So then this became the home of the Tuolumne County Historical Society. And what they did with this place is just amazing. Now, I've got some things that I want to show you here. If you got a question as to why your little village has the name that it has, you might want to come in here and look at this here pretty map, all about the gold. We call this the gold section, and it will just teach you all kinds of things about where we found gold and why we found the gold here. You know, we are right here in the heart of the Mother Lode. Now, some of you may not know what Mother Lode is. Mother Lode was a vein, a ridge, a quartz rock that run all the way down around what is today Highway 49. And we're right smack dab in the middle of the southern mines. And that's why we call this gold country. Now, we got us some special things here, and I want to show you some special things. So come on over here. Now, folks, I got me a couple of things here that I want you to have a look-see at. You ain't likely to see these anyplace else, so have a real good look. You see this scooped out little thing up here? That's called a horned spoon. If you don't know what a horned spoon is, you go ask any fourth grader here from Tuolumne County, and they'll be able to tell you what a horned spoon is. Now, you see this big wooden bowl looking like thing? That is called a batea. A batea was used by those folks that come from South America, Central America, and Mexico to winnow the gold from the dirt. You see, if they didn't have water, this is what they used. Now, they would put that dirt in there, and they would throw it up in the air, and they would hope to catch all that pay dirt, and they would hope that all that leverite blowed on by. What's leverite? Leverite is anything in your gold pan that ain't gold. That's why we call it leverite, because you leave it right there. Okay, come on. Now, what I want you to see here is this whole line of cells. The original jail had cells right down the center section here too, but they tore those out when they rebuilt this jail to make the living quarters out there. I do not know why. These cells are exactly as you would have seen them in their sizes and shapes. But now we celebrate the different aspects of life here in the gold rush. Now you see this big old rod across here. You see it goes all the way across, and there's a hook in front of each door. Once this door was shut, the crank that's on the outside, the opposite side of this wall, would be pulled down, and that would force these big old hooks back down on these doors and hold these doors shut. There weren't nobody getting out. This cell celebrates the movie industry and all the movies that were filmed here in Tuolumne County. In the 60s, it was an especially popular place for these people to film their movies. If you got a mind to do your personals, you will be stepping into this here cell. If you look inside, you'll see all the accoutrements that you're going to need to do your personals. This side now, where that road cells had been, you see now a celebration of the Sierra Railroad and the Angels Branch. Okay, now we've come through and we're over here on the other side. And you can see here some more cells, and you can see this section celebrates the Western movement and all of the settlers that came here and all the different kinds of folks that come here. Here you can see a cell that's dedicated to the Chinese. We have one that's dedicated to the African Americans that come here. Here you can see some of the things that have been found along the trail and all the remnants of the wagons. Here you see displays celebrating the Miwok, who were the people that were here first, long before the miners were ever here. And their baskets. Some of these baskets, they use these baskets for cooking. Can you imagine cooking in a basket? My. And now, folks, in this center section right here, you can see all these different communities and groups of people. Right here, we've got the Jewish families here. We were very indebted to them. Mr. Leinerberg, bless his heart, after that fire in 1857, it was his idea that we ought to have fire breaks every so often. Those fire breaks became the side streets off Washington Street. Not made for vehicle traffic, but made as fire breaks. So when you're cussing somebody out because the street's so narrow, now you know the reason why. Over here, you're just going to find a little bit about the French community that was here. Great folks that was here. All of these folks had a contribution into making this place the way it is today.
I hope you all enjoyed that.
Very much.
Mr. Rogers? Did he hear me? Yeah, okay. This is Bob Rogers, and he's one of our members of the Board of Governors, and he's here today to talk to you.
Yeah. Thank you for the opportunity to allow me to share my views on the history of Tuolumne County, the value, and the way we attempt to manage it. Anyway, thank you again. If you've ever driven from Oakdale to Sonora, which I'm sure you all have, especially in the springtime when the grass is green, buckeyes are in bloom, who fails to be moved, maybe inspired by the sight you see? Gentlemen, that is a part of our history. That's rangeland. Those cowboys kept it that way for cows, and we are taking advantage. The cowboys are still here, by the way. We have a living history. Go on up the road and your eye will catch the stone corral. Oh, that's curious. Well, that's another part of that history. Keep on going. You'll come to Columbia with limestone boulders jutting out of the ground. Can't help but notice them. Some people will, oh, that's interesting. Other people's might have a glimmer of why those boulders are so spectacular these days. Well, you know, it was hydraulic mining. It goes back to the gold recovery days. So here we have two of the major industries right before our very eyes, and all have very interesting histories. I'm not going to talk about the limestone, which is still active today, by the way. Well, that's the physical artifacts we deal with. But there's a social artifact. That's the way I would look at it anyway. That's the people of Tuolumne County. Tuolumne County was built from small town up. That attitude still remains today, and you saw an excellent example of it right here when Ethan, I believe, said, well, I'm helping people, not responding to an emergency. That is exactly the attitude that many people will recognize when they go into a store. The clerk doesn't have quite what they're asking for or doesn't know where it is, but by golly, that clerk will spend extra time, a personal contact, making sure that customer gets what they want or at least knows where to go to get it. Same attitude, exactly the same attitude you will see in the Board of Supervisors today. But you'll also see it in all the various county offices that you might have contact with. I've had quite a few in my other life dealing with assessor and public works and recorder and that. I have never, ever failed to get personal treatment. I had never a feeling of the bureaucratic attitude, you might say, which is the answer is no, because that's the easiest thing. I never get that. So that attitude came along with our government, not just the storekeepers. So something we have to be proud of right there. By the way, the artifacts of our small town environment, here's one of them sitting right there. Angela is an old-time family. And
I got it.
She is a part of our living history.
Oh, God.
Well, and look at yourselves. Anyway, that's a very proud thing for me to know, and I think more people should know that. Now, what are we doing actually at the moment? You saw a pretty good example here with Hard Luck Lynn. The museum, of course, that is an obvious example of how we both display and interpret our history. Both are important. Both are important because you have to know you've got history in the first place that's worthwhile and makes interesting reading or stories. And then you have to understand what those stories actually mean to us today. So that's our goal. We start with the museum, pretty obvious. But what is less known, of course, is the History Center. I believe Angela mentioned that as well. That's a building immediately behind the museum, the old jail. There we do the, call it the humdrum or routine work of curation. That means an incredible job of bookkeeping, keeping track of over 30,000 photographs plus another 30,000 negatives. Then we have, of course, all the little various articles, the books and the gewgaws and that we cannot display. We don't have room for them. You got to not only know what they are, where they are, but you have to take care of them. Well, the clothing is an example of something we have to spend a lot of time on. How's my time doing? I don't want to overrun.
You're fine.
Okay. She says I'm fine, so you guys are going to have to wait. Anyway, let me see. Where the heck was I? Anyway.
Clothing.
Yeah, in the History Center, we do a couple of things besides the routine curation. We happen to have a Cracker Jack curator. Among other things she does outside of her curation job, she has created a Facebook group, I think is what she calls it, in which she has an interactive site called Motherlode Memories. She has something like 6,000 followers after just a few weeks in business. So that's the kind of thing that we can do more of to bring ourselves forward in public view. But we're doing that. We can always use some help. The places that we get help are primarily three sources. One is the county, which has been mentioned already, material support as well as moral support, which we appreciate very much. The second is the other half of our museum workforce. That's the Genealogical Society. The Genealogical Society shares our floor space. They have libraries and computers. They can go on ancestors.com, etc. They man the desk 3 days a week. That's half of our job in keeping the museum open. The rest of the days then are manned by people from the Historical Society. That would be me and a bunch of others. We have 3 days a week, 2 shifts each day, so that's 6 shifts we have to man. If we had only one person on duty at a time, that would be 6 people. We'd like to have 2, if at all possible, for pure administrative reasons as well as individual safety. That's 12 people as volunteer docents like me. That's a lot of people. That means we need help, and I would like to think that anybody within my earshot right now would try to carve out a little bit of time, maybe 2-3 hours a week. That would be immensely helpful for us to continue what we've got going and expand into the 21st century. If you don't have 2 or 3 hours a week, that's okay too. We have an incredible array of jobs, all the way from computers to carpentry. But if you don't have a regular amount of time you can devote, at least think about once a year. Once a year would be the 4th grade tour, where we invite the 4th grade students from all of our schools in Tuolumne County to be treated to a historic tour of Old Town Sonora. And so I'm asking for that help if you can possibly give it. And I think that's probably about all I need to say. Angela, was there something that you want to make sure we got covered here?
No, you did good, Bob. We'll have Linda come up next.
Okay.
I wanted our curator to be here today because I wanted you to meet her, and that wasn't going to be possible. So I got the next best thing, my sister. And so she's going to tell you about the curator. This is Linda Crocker.
Thank you, Artifact. That'll be a good one.
Yes.
Hang on to that one.
I will.
So I am not Billy Lyons, but she wrote this. She is the curator. After taking the position as curator for the Tuolumne County Historical Society and Museum 4 years ago, I was astounded by the size and scope of our photo collection. It is truly exceptional. When I came on board, my goal was to get people excited about their heritage and the local history. It's so easy not to see the forest for the trees and forget a little about how rich and deep the history and family roots are here. And I was looking at the reminders on a daily basis within our photo collection. I realized that because of the vast size of the photo collection, that even with our website online collection of some 3,000 images to view and purchase, that was simply a drop in the bucket, and many would likely never get seen on a large scale. And this collection of faces, places, and events was just too amazing not to be seen. So after work one day, about 18 months ago, I sat down and created the Facebook group called Motherlode Memories to share these incredible images and hopefully bring back some long-forgotten memories to the area. I had anticipated maybe a few dozen members, but it simply exploded. People were excited and the stories began to flow. It was exactly as I had hoped it would be. A place for people to reminisce, to remember what it was like growing up in this small but wonderful area. And my very favorite thing of all, to have someone excitedly tell me I had just posted a photo of a loved one they had never seen before. This truly makes my day. We are close to 6,000 members strong, and I have to say the group is a pure pleasure to manage. The site features multiple images all during the week. I take requests for subjects, and each photo has its catalog number included, so you can order the high-resolution version for personal use. The success of this group is entirely due to the love of this community and the history and the heritage that goes with it. The Tuolumne County Historical Society and Museum strive to bring the history alive and interpret the past in creative and interesting ways. With the exception of myself, the entire operation is manned by volunteers. The volunteers spend endless hours of their own time to bring the exhibits and events to fruition, and their value is immeasurable. I will end this by saying how lucky I feel to be a part of this organization and a part of this community. And I thank you all for your continued support of the Society in its endeavor to preserve and interpret the past for future generations to come.
Thank
Billy
you.
Lyons.
Okay, not yet. You got the flyers?
You want that now?
Not yet. Close. Okay. One of the things is that we try to keep busy. And I cannot tell you, sometimes we're just too busy. But that's okay. That's good. We try every Thursday, third Thursday of the month, to have a program, which you'll find it in the newspaper and or the Historian or wherever. In September, we have a thing called Museum Days. And what this is, it started with the Smithsonian. And the Smithsonian has a thing where they talk to every museum in the United States, and hopefully they stop what they're doing and they have a program. And this year it's going to be October 22nd. And I just want you to know we have one great program coming up. Because that was the jail, we decided to go yesterday and today with law enforcement. And my buddy, the retired sheriff, we worked out a deal, and we have the big truck, the big tank. We got the Thule words, we got the dogs, but we got so much going on that day. We have geocache, and if you don't know what geocache is, ask your grandkids, or they'll tell you all about it. We have a book sale. Hopefully we'll have the bricks up, and so we'll have that to show everybody, plus our beautiful museum and a brand new World War I exhibit. And I have to tell you how funny this is, because one of the things about the World War I exhibit was that so many of these people have passed away, and so that we don't have the artifacts and everything. And they were talking about people, and I try not to get so involved. I want them to have fun with it and do their thing. And the next thing I know is they give out a name. It's my dad's oldest brother, my Uncle Tony. I had no idea. And what was so wonderful about it is that the artifacts they got from our family, they're now involved. And it's been wonderful. So now I get to see my Uncle Tony and how he was, and my grandmother and all that. So that's how things interact down there. Next thing you know, oh my gosh, who are they going to bring in next? But it's great. We also have the 4th grade tours. Now, I want you to know the city of Sonora partners with us, and we've done this for years. You need to know about this, because if you have grandchildren or children in these schools and they're not coming for 4th grade, go find out why. I know I went after one school because it was my school, and I wanted to know why they weren't coming. It's great. They go through town. They know all the buildings. These kids will tell you things that you don't even know. It's wonderful what we do to our 4th grade. Plus, it gives them something to be proud of about their town. It isn't just, oh, well, you know, like when I was a kid, it was, you know, going up and down the main street or maybe the Frosty shop. This has teeth, and it shows what happens at the buildings. We've used the Sug House a lot. These things are important for our children. And we do that. One of the things we're going to do is, and this one's kind of fun, it's different, is that we're going to the cemetery right down here, and we're going to have a night at the cemetery. Oh, doesn't that sound exciting? And what they're going to do is tell stories about the people that are there. Oh, that ought to be fun, shouldn't it? Imagine what they're going to come out. But I have a flyer for you because I didn't want you to forget our beautiful day. My cue. Yes. And so you have a flyer to show you our museum day. We're going to have flyers this year all over town and the county and everything, so we're getting those made up now. But I wanted to have so that you would have the date and what we have planned and everything. September, not October. Did I say October? Yes. Oh, I meant September. I'm sorry. I apologize. September 20th. Oh, that's just, hey, chemo brain. It's okay. Anyway, I want to thank you very much for allowing us to come. You have no idea how much I appreciate you and what you do for us.
Okay, so, Angela.
Yes, John.
Without you and people like you, we would not be able to do anything. So I really want to thank you for all you do in the Historical Society. You know, my first experience on the Board of Governors, I really had no idea what was there and what was everybody was trying to do, but I could see compassion and just real heart in the people that were working there at the time, and now the Mother-in-law Memory Site is great.
Fabulous, huh?
Yeah, you connect with people that you haven't seen in 50, 60 years or so, and so it's great. But just really, it's fantastic what you do. It's our history. We know how important it is, so keep up the good work.
Well, I got to tell you a story, John. My first day, I retired from Sonora High School, and I go down there because Cookie Mills and one said, you got to try this, Ange, you know. And so I thought, oh, good, this is okay. So I go in, and they put me at a computer, and I'm looking at photos. And I cannot, this is so true, it's unreal. And now, you know what a library's like, real quiet? Well, when you go down, I call it the hole because it's so quiet and nobody talks and they're all doing their thing. And then I get Ange, and I just sat there, and the first thing I know, I look at the computer, I went, oh, 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 and everybody come up. It was my Aunt Angie. I knew that's where I was supposed to be. And so I figured, hey, that's okay. Life is good. I know where I'm at. And you're right. The lady who does the Board of Governors, Fran Gardner, her dad was Joe Azevedo, the first president of the Historical Society. I mean, that's how this all integrates together. And if you haven't been to the museum lately, and if you'd like a special tour, I'd be happy to give it to you, or I could have somebody much more knowledgeable. But I would love to have you come down and take a look. We're working on the patio and things that we've been doing back there. I mean, that patio is worth money to you guys. I'm telling you right now, because you wouldn't believe the parties that are held there, the weddings, so on, so forth. But it's going to be great when we get it all done. Anyway, I want to thank you for today. I want to thank you for letting me do my thing and being able to see Sarah. I never get to see her very much. So I really appreciate. Thank you.
Thank you. Randy?
I have to say thank you. The enthusiasm, the energy that you bring to this, and the service you and your team bring to Tuolumne County is amazing. I can't say thank you enough. I appreciate if you'd extend our thanks to them for their service. And I hope you guys all go on forever, and I hope you get a lot of new volunteers. You make this a good place to live.
Well, you keep going to the Board of Governors meetings and we'll be just fine.
I'll keep going.
Okay.
How long have you been sitting in the president's chair, Angela?
I don't know, 3 years maybe. I don't know.
Oh, I think it's been longer than that.
Well,
but and the reason I ask is
why?
because,
You want me gone?
No, it's actually quite the opposite.
Oh,
because we talk about the volunteers in our county all the time and how we have so many amazing things that happen in Tuolumne County because of the volunteers. But there's always this, it ebbs and flows based on what the enthusiasm level is and how many, what you can get, because you're motivating, you're sitting in that leadership chair, and I'm going to say that in the last several years, I've seen so many amazingly good things come from the Historical Society and the museum, and thank you for that. And please take this back to all of the volunteers and tell them thank you. The museum would not be what it is without the volunteers,
that's right.
Your board of governors, the board of directors, but thank you.
Oh, no, thank you. And thank you for watching. That's good. We like that.
It's you guys are doing good things.
Thank you. We try.
Yeah. You're awesome. You're so.
Hey, we're going to miss you, too. You're going,
I'll be around.
Okay.
Maybe we'll have more time for stuff like what you guys are doing. But
Okay.
Bob's comments were awesome. And it just shows, and it makes me really, really happy to see the purity of the intentions of the people that are working there. And really, it defines who we are, where we come from. And the history of our county and the identity of our county is very unique, and it's beautiful, and it's exciting. And so the fact that you guys are preserving that, you're also sharing it, it's just awesome. And I just thank you.
Oh, you're welcome. You know the old saying, watch who you talk about, because they're probably a relative.
Especially in Tuolumne County. That's right.
No, that's true.
All right.
Watch who you talk about.
So, any public comment?
That's okay. That's okay.
Okay. Thank you so much for the
You're welcome.
presentation, and keep up the good work.
Well, you might see us back again sometime.
That'd be great.
Or I'll get you more flyers or something,
All right.
Bye, Johnny.
Bye. Bye, Angie. With that, we'll be back at 1:30. All right, I'd like to call the meeting back to order. Would the clerk please read our 1:30 appointment?
This is a public hearing to consider adopting a resolution allocating funds for the food bank services, homeless services, and Meals on Wheels from this Community Development Block Grant Program Fund reused funds.
I know it looks a little bare up here, but we've got a quorum and another one on the way.
Okay, great. Yeah, Terry Cox, Cox Consulting. I'd like to invite written comments regarding the county's Community Development Block Grant Program that can be sent to the County Administrative Office, and I do have my usual voluntary sign-in sheet that anybody attending this public hearing can sign.
Thank you.
So the situation that we have today is that we have money that gets repaid to the county through its old housing and small business community development block grant loans. They call that program income at the State Department of Housing and Community Development, which is the funding agency for the Community Development Block Grant Program. So this program income, the county used to be able to bank to spend on projects and programs, and a few years back the state changed their policy, and they now have what they call a spend to zero policy. That is, you have to spend every dime of your program income before you can draw down any of the grant funds that have been allocated to activities in your open grants. So we have a 2016 grant that has 3 activities in it: the Jamestown Tank, the food bank public services and housing stabilization services. It also has 3 what they call supplementals. So these were basically earmarks that were put into your 2016 grant that had no budget. And that was for shelter activities, for Meals on Wheels, and for the county's small business revolving loan fund. So the new state rules about program income, the spend to zero policy, they said, well, we do recognize the fact that if you're spending your program income on grant activities, you're going to leave an unspent balance at the state. So we will let you go back and allocate those unspent funds on anything that's in that open grant. Now, you can't spend it on things that are not in that open grant because the current rules are that you have to have what they call an agreement with the state in order to be allowed to expend the money. Well, what they are defining as an agreement at this point is that open grant. So if you're going to spend the money at all, it's going to have to be on any of those activities in your 2016 grant. And if you don't allocate the money, you just lose the grant money. So it's
difficult choice, isn't it?
It's an interesting system. They get a lot of feedback about this, as you can imagine. So the amount of money that we anticipate that will be repaid from your housing loans and your business loans by the expenditure deadline, which is not this coming September, but September 2019, is about $300,000. And so we did talk to the subrecipients who are administering activities in the 2016 grant about possible use of those funds, and what has been requested was $175,000 for the food bank, $50,000 for the shelters, and then $75,000 for Meals on Wheels. So I'm happy to answer any questions that you have.
Okay, any questions from the board before I open the public hearing? Supervisor Hanveld.
Yeah, would you go the next step and explain the revolving loan, business loan fund, and where that is going? I just want to
the small business program.
Yeah.
Okay. So before HCD changed the rules a few years ago about program income, they did allow jurisdictions to have what they called revolving loan funds. So that's where you banked your money. And so the repayments for the business loans went into a fund that was specifically dedicated to that, and then new loans were issued out of it. Well, when you have the spend to zero policy, you can't hold the money long enough to make a loan. So this has been the case for a couple of years, and until they change the policy, and this is actually being discussed at the state level now, they are changing from a regulation system to a guideline system, and the guidelines are supposed to be drafted by the end of the year. So they've gotten a lot of feedback from the jurisdictions saying the system you got just doesn't work. And so they are proposing to go back to something closer to the old system where you have a program income reuse plan, and what you put in that plan then would let you actually maintain some funds at the local level, but the particulars of it are still in play, and they want it to be way more restrictive because their capacity at the state is really low right now. So exactly what this is going to look like, we can't tell yet, but we should know much better by the end of the year.
Mr. Chairman, the reason I asked her to do that was the process is changing on us, and it becomes very difficult. And if they're making decisions, I think this board needs to put a team together and weigh in on how this ought to look so that we can maximize the use of these things. I'm worried or concerned long-term that weren't going to have this option, and the people we're considering today are essential to our community. And those projects are really essential, and I'd like to retain that option to make sure we can continue to get these monies and apply them where our community benefits the most. And
Okay, so what I'm going to do is I'm going to put you in charge of that and let you pick your team, but keep it small. Does that work?
Okay, done.
Okay. All right, any other comments from the board? All right, public hearing, I'm going to open it up. Anyone wish to speak, please come forward.
Good afternoon, quorum of the board. Thank you very much for another opportunity to speak. I am largely in favor of the allocation of these funds for these essential services to the safety net of our community. I was previously employed by the Atka Food Bank under an AmeriCorps contract. While the supplies of foods that we provide are not enough to keep someone going for terribly long, they can be just the stopgap needed to keep someone from going to bed hungry while they're waiting for, say, food stamps to come through or for a loan from a friend. In short, that emergency aid can make all the difference. Many of my friends, vulnerable young people who have difficulty finding sustainable jobs, some of them end up pulling stents in the homeless shelters. Some of my older friends benefit from Meals on Wheels. I feel that these programs contribute a great deal to the health of Tuolumne County, and that they cannot possibly be overfunded. They can always use more resources to do the good work they do. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Good afternoon, Board. Thank you for your time. It's an honor to be here. As a single father who's received a lot of service from the ATCA, I just want to take a moment to tell you a little bit about myself and what they've done for me. And it says, my life is full of choices and consequences. In the past, my choices haven't always been wise. In fact, you could say they were foolish, and the consequences seemed to snowball. I created a life for myself I never thought that I would be living. You see, growing up as a child with no father and a mother who struggled to raise 4 kids on her own while suffering from drug addiction left quite an impact on me as a young man. I never had a good role model. I lacked social skills and coping skills. My childhood was full of pain and dysfunction. I witnessed quite a bit of abuse in the home with my mother and her boyfriends and vice versa. I seen drugs being used in and out of the home. My siblings and I were often hungry and homeless. I attended many different schools as we were never rooted at any one time nor place for very long. Emotionally, I was hurting, and I learned what stress was all too early in life. I'm no fan of excuses, though you may see how my early years could have played a part in my adult life. So for a long time, I have been struggling to be a responsible and noble man. I always knew I had the potential and desire to be a good man because through all the dysfunction and ugliness of my childhood and adolescence, I never conformed or accepted what my brothers and sisters and I had to go through as normal or acceptable behavior. The drugs, the abuse, the dysfunction, the behaviors of the adults I grew up with wasn't right, and I knew it. I was an intelligent kid with a big heart, and I knew right from wrong. That's probably why I had such inner turmoil, pain, and stress. I moved out of the home as soon as I could. Long story short, I fell into the same patterns of behavior. Drinking and using drugs. When I found myself becoming of age as an adult, I looked for structure and stability in the arms of an older woman. So now I was developing the characteristics of a codependent, unaware as I was that codependency was a real thing. I went to work and I came home in the fog of the pain that I was still carrying from my childhood. The marijuana smoke and the occasional beer that would later develop and become a real problem for me. But I thought I had it all figured out, and that is until life showed up, and showed up it did. When my first codependent relationship felt, it was like a bomb had been dropped on me. I fell into a dark place with emotions that seemed to be out of this world. It was extreme sadness, anger, extreme confusion, etc. I didn't know what was going on with me, and I did not know how to cope. These patterns continued for many years. I knew it wasn't right, though I didn't know how to change. Unfortunately, I became a father before I realized I needed help. When the older relationship to the mother of my 2 older children failed, I again fell in depression, self-pity. It wasn't until I ended up serving a 3-year prison sentence that I woke up. In short, that prison sentence saved my life. I took advantage of my time in there. I gained a lot of insight to what was ailing me. My incarceration I used to stay sober, to think, and to read a lot of good literature, allowed myself to heal, and I grew up. Upon my release, I found much needed love and support, not only from my family, but the good people of my community. Today, I'm becoming the man I always knew I could be, the father my kids need and deserve. With the support and encouragement of my family, friends, I have accomplished so much. I'm excited about my future. I'm making changes, and I'm making wise choices. So many are proud of me, as I am as well. I have so much support and encouragement and respect from everyone that knows me. I'm proud to say I completed all my probation. I kept on mind and gave the program a chance. I'm a better man for it. I stay plugged into the resources available to me, and every day it keeps getting better. Some of my accomplishments include certificates of participation and completion of areas such as cognitive thinking, behavior classes, healthy living and eating classes, parenting classes, DUI. With the support of my friends and family and communities, I paid off my fines, allowing me to obtain my driver's license. I have a vehicle of my own that's registered and insured. I am so grateful, and I feel so blessed to have a safe and stable home thanks to ACCA. And my dream is to be the best father I can be, and to instill values in my kids that will not only benefit their lives, but also the world in which they will live. Values such as integrity, honesty, merit, public service, independence, personal development, adventure, art, stability, self-respect, leadership, competence, knowledge, accountability, and responsibility. My plan is to lead by example and to always be there for them, to encourage my children, to be a good listener, to teach my children, and to be wise enough to let my children teach me as well. Today I'm seeking a career in welding. I've been given the opportunity to go to school to be a welder. I got my welding certificates. I'm taking full advantage of all the opportunities that go. And I want to be a good role model in my community. I also have a deep desire to give back. I've spoken with a judge who does collaborative courts and does a program called Choices and Consequences. He goes to local schools and speaks to children and young adults, and they feel that in telling my story, it may impact some of the kids' lives, maybe help a few of them realize they're not alone, and to make them think so they don't end up going down the wrong path, encourage them to succeed. I'm also interested in being a mentor to the men and women of my community, these that are struggling to make a better life. Fathers and families of San Joaquin, ACCA, has all been a part of my success. I would encourage you to not only continue to invest in your community and its health and its commerce and its vitality, but also its people. My greatest joy in the world are the children, and I'm sort of partial to 3 of them, Ryder, Audrey, and Allison. Thank you.
Sir, thank you for coming forward. All right, anyone else?
Good afternoon. I'm very pleased to be here. I don't know any of you, but you don't know me either. My name is Jeanette Swartfager, and I'm here on behalf of ADCA. I'm opposite from that young man that was here. I'm a senior, an old senior, I might add. And I first went to ADCA when I moved here from Sacramento, and I was in really dire shape. And ADCA helped my food budget. And I want to thank you for what you do for ADCA, but I hope you do a little more. And after about a year or so, I was asked to be a volunteer. And that's what I've done all day. That's why I'm still dressed like this. But I'm supposedly the hostess with the mostest. I have to sign people in. And if you would see some of the people that come through, it would make you cry. And I would encourage each of you to come and spend some time with us and see what we do and see the people that come through. A lot of seniors, and I think it's our responsibility as a community to help our seniors and to help the young people like the young man that was just here. We see a lot of sadness, and it would break your heart, but I would encourage all of you to come and visit, come and be a volunteer for an hour or two, it's hot, but it's very rewarding, and I feel like I'm paying back what ADCA has done for me by being a volunteer. And we have a lot of volunteers that come from the Mormon Church, elders, and I want to thank them immensely for all the help they give us. But I would encourage you to open up your hearts and open up maybe your budgets for ADCA, because it is worthwhile and it helps a lot of people. Usually we have about 100 or 150 families come through, and that's a lot of families, and there's a lot of more people that need to come. So I want you to search your conscience and your brain and your heart, and see what else you can do to help ADCA. Thank you.
Anyone else?
Good afternoon. My name is Bruce Judici. I'm the fiscal officer for ADCA, and I don't get to see the folks who get to come through on the program side of it. I get to see the dollars and cents, and I really want to thank you so much for supporting the food bank and the shelter and homeless stabilization programs. In the past, it's been critical to the survival of those programs, especially for the food bank. The food bank does not have as many funding sources as housing, but they're also and they're also more restrictive. So our request today for $175,000 for CDBG essentially makes up about half of the budget for the food bank. And the food bank has a $350,000 budget for the year. And given how many people are served and how much food goes through the food bank, and you'll hear from people here who are very thankful for the program, it is about the most bang for the buck that you can get for any governmental funds. We are now surviving on a Mercy Food EFAP grant, which pays for the salaries for distributing commodities, which is about a $40,000 a year contract, and we have our CDBG funds and also the fundraising that goes on a regular basis. And from time to time, we'll get some additional funding for special projects. But the foundational funding that we get comes from the county, and it is a critical county service function. Essentially, ADCA is an agency that is formed by a joint powers agreement between Amador County and Tuolumne County. So essentially, we are you. You have two board members on our board and oversee our finances. I can say that our audits have been clean, and that whatever funds you provide will be strictly adhered to, and that will be very efficient with your funds. So I want to thank you very much for consideration, and hopefully you can approve this. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else wish to speak?
Hi, everyone. I'm Katie Johnson. I'm the Nutrition, Family, and Consumer Sciences Advisor for the UC Cooperative Extension in our area. And I just want to show my support for all of the programs under consideration today, but also to make the point that there are a few things you can do to invest in community health that are more important than promoting food security, as multiple of these programs do. And from a long-term financial position, preventing chronic disease pays off usually at least twofold in a long-term projections. So I hope that that enters into the considerations of funding sustainability, and I'm really glad to hear that sustainability of fundings and valuing this program that's being expressed. Thank you.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Nate Levering, and I speak on behalf of the food pantries. We run a pantry at Sierra Bible Church, which is under my leadership, and then I chair a group of about 20 various volunteer agencies in our community. It's titled FeedNet, and it's made up of distribution sites as well as just food pantries like ours that work under the food bank. And just to speak, they made me their chair, so I'll speak on their behalf. But again, the dollars that we see channeled to ADCA are exponential with regards to any money that we have, because they can buy, much higher bulk of quality foods, and that of course impacts in two different ways. One is we have more food to give away, and second to that, we have better quality food. And on behalf of Denny and Paul and their team down there, who we work with on a weekly basis in a personal way, they're doing an outstanding job of using that and actually transforming what we have to hand out to some very needy folks, some of which, of course, you've already heard from. The third thing I would say in a way that it benefits our community in a very hands-on way are the hundreds of volunteers. Not only at our Sierra Bible Church site, we have about 40 or so folks that work in this area, but that's true of all these pantries. They're run by lots and lots and lots of volunteers, and what the bank is able to do impacts how we're able to serve our community, and it's a massive thing. And so anything we can do to continue to strengthen what the food bank has, we at the FeedNet are highly in favor of. So thanks for considering this.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Boy, I feel like a bull in a china shop, I'll tell you. My name is Chris. I'm the shelter coordinator for the Sonora Emergency Shelter. I'm going to give you a quick rundown of my story, my involvement with ATCA. It started out with both my children being in Head Start, and from there, eventually I became homeless. I had lost my children, and I came to the Sonora Emergency Shelter. I became a caretaker there. I've got my kids back. Also, I got in a housing program through ATCA's help, and I was a mechanic by trade. I used to work on Randy's van, actually. Don't hold that against me. But anyway,
you did a good job.
Thank you. I couldn't go back to my field of trade of 30 plus years because of an ankle injury, which I still had to this day. So I came back and volunteered about 4 months after I left the shelter. I left in June of 2015. I came back in November of 2015 and got hired on a temporary basis as of January 4th, 2016. And about 6 months later, due to some circumstances, I became the shelter coordinator. The shelter means everything to me and to this community. I've seen a lot of people come in just completely down on their luck, nowhere else to turn. And through the shelter, through ATCA's housing department, through even the food bank, the food bank helps out. We're all joined together in one form or another. And without ATCA, I know I sure couldn't be in a position to give back what was so freely given to me. So I'm just going to give you the quick stats on who's there right now. Not who, but numbers. There's 4 families with 7 children there, and they're all single parents. There's 4 adults with those 7 children. I have 21 residents total, 10 single adults. 4 have gotten employment within the last month. 2 of these people have been chronically unemployed for years. And when I say years, I'm talking 3 to 5 years at least. 7 are approved and moving into housing by the end of the month. The only reason they're not going in yet because their places are not ready. Without the shelter and without ATCA's help, people on the streets are not going to be given this opportunity, unfortunately. It's hard to get employment whenever you don't have a physical address. It's hard to get a job. It's hard to get housing. It's hard to get a lot of help if you don't have a physical address. Unfortunately, that's just the way it is. So I really encourage you guys to put forth the funds, and it will definitely be well invested. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon. I'm Nancy from Nancy's Hope. I am a site host for the ATCA Food Bank as well out in Columbia. I see a lot of hungry people. I think it's a big problem that we have in our community, and I think what you guys are doing, able to bring in more funds, would be wonderful. There's a lot of people that have their pride that they don't get help unless you have people like us that kind of give them a helping hand. And I just appreciate you guys considering. And also, Meals on Wheels is a big thing, too. Our seniors, they need help. And a lot of them are hungry. So thank you very much for your consideration.
Thank you.
Hi, my name is Denny Avery, and I'm the director of Atka Food Bank. Sorry, didn't dress up, but we had distributions today, so I'm kind of sweaty too. I have to thank you guys through this current funding with CDBG. Atka's programs have served with our 16 pantry partners 11,776 individuals, 55,063 times, or 4,604 households for 23,513 times from January through June. July's numbers aren't in yet. The other thing I have to mention is we are a very small staff. We've managed to, the last year and a half, cut costs considerably by increasing food donations, volunteer times. But from January to June, I mean, I have to mention that we have a very dedicated community volunteer group of over 500 people who've banked a total of 14,848 hours, which converts into $222,274.56. That's, I mean, our shoestring budget is $350, $1,000. So that's a lot of volunteer time that is saved, in manpower. There's a lot. We are working warehouse. There's a lot of hard jobs there. There's a lot of jobs that require skill set, driving a forklift, driving a big Freightliner truck to pick up produce in the valley. And we have 16 pantry partnerships. They are the arms of our community. We are the bank. We bank the food. We solicit the food from retailers, from the food industry. We are able to get, being the community's food bank, we are able through state partnerships, national partnerships, we're able to get food for pennies on the pound. Whereas our pantries in the community, typically they would have to just go to the grocery store and hope that the manager is going to give them a discount. So we're able to feed a lot of people for pretty inexpensively. In addition to our pantry partnerships, since 1998, we have had our Food for Kids program. We collaborate and partner with 10 schools in the county during the school year, and we have a summer kids program as well. But during the school year, we are able to send home a bag of food with a child who we know is reliant on free and reduced meals and may not necessarily, for one reason or another, have food at home. So from June to January, we sent home 5,009 bags with kids, with an eligible child in need. We have our farmers market program. And we also have our EFAP program. Farmers Market program is in 6 different locations in the community, in the county, rather. And then our EFAP program is at 20 different locations, closed and open locations throughout the county, up in Groveland, up to Sugar Pine, Columbia. And it takes a village to continue to feed our community. One of our pantry partners, actually, one of our agencies happens to be Sierra Senior Providers, so that they can help with their costs in getting, produce and bulk rates and things like that. So I'd also like to support the funding continuing for Meals on Wheels as well. So I wanted to thank you and just kind of give you some most recent numbers. I have here, I don't know if I'm allowed to come give you these, but these are 19 letters of support from, Margie Volkin's the top one, our county, soon to be retired county school superintendent of schools, along with many other superintendents of schools, educators, and some of our pantries. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else?
Good afternoon. My name is Paul Benton, and this is the first time I've ever spoken at a Board of Supervisors meeting. I'm the operations coordinator at the food bank. I spent 30 years in state service, retired, and was just happy as a clam. But my wife encouraged me to go out and do something else and give back. I saw a part-time advertisement for a position at the food bank and applied 2.5 years ago. And it's just been so rewarding giving back and seeing the people that we deal with. It means so much. And losing the federal funding was really hurtful, but we're going to make it no matter what we have to do to make it happen. I have a certain amount of scheduled hours that I give, but I don't listen to this Raj and Denny, but I put in a lot more hours than what you see on the books there. Because I know I'm not supposed to do that. Also, I purchase a lot of our own office supplies and other things just because there's a need there and I'm able to do that. I just came from the warehouse myself too, so I'm all sweaty and tired and was there at 8:30 last night in 98-degree heat putting together food for people today. It just means so much. So I hope you're able to make a decision and help us out. Thank you.
Thank you. Anyone else? Go ahead and close the public hearing. Just a brief comment on my part is, the volunteerism in Tuolumne County is always alive and well, but the extra effort that the people put in that work for the organizations is really noticed also. So those that are in charge, I thank you also. The volunteers, an extreme thank you. All right. I'll bring it back.
Yeah, so I think you have a draft resolution there.
Yes, I do. Any comments before we go ahead?
Yeah, I just want to say I'm particularly touched today by the testimony of some of the people that were here. And maybe I'm just tired or something, but thank you for being here and sharing your stories. And I really appreciate it.
Jerry, do you have something?
Yeah. It's important for the public to hear our successes because we hear all the time about how are you guys spending money? What are you doing? And I really appreciate the courage it takes to stand up and share those successes. And this is a no-brainer for me. I look at all three of these pieces, and it's just this is something that I think this board has always supported these efforts, and part of that is because of the tremendous network that is established in getting these resources out to the people that need it, and that's staff and volunteers, and it makes it so efficient, and we make the dollars go so far. And I guess the last piece is thank you for getting this to us, and we don't want to leave any money on the table. Thank you.
Supervisor Handel.
Yeah, I just have to echo this. I sit on the ATCA board, so I'm just a little bit more aware. But young man back there with a little girl, I can't tell you how much I admire your courage and your commitment. You're an unusual person because you've made the commitment to change your life and for the better and to give back. And that little girl, you'd be very proud of what she's going to be because you've done that. We're proud of you. I just got to tell you that. And it's these kinds of things that ATCA and Meals on Wheels does for people, changes their lives, gives them a chance. It's the hand up more than the handout, and so this is a no-brainer. And so, Mr. Chairman, I'd like to move in favor of this resolution and move forward. This is the right thing to do.
Okay, we have a motion by Supervisor Hanvelt, second by Supervisor Brennan. Call for a vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 4-0. Supervisor Rutherford absent. Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay. We do have one other item, Mr. Pedro.
We want to do number 6A.
Do you want to do okay, we'll do the
6A? We're reconsidering the approving of a written argument in favor of Measure M.
Good afternoon, board, once again. So we have a kind of retooled argument in favor of Measure M for your consideration. There's hard copies up on the dais for you all, a few copies in the back for the public. You can see there's the tracked changes version, and then the clean copy there, a little bit easier to read. Some of the changes that we made with Supervisor Brennan and Supervisor Royce were we took what was the third kind of paragraph and put that up at the top, that this making it very clear that this measure does not authorize marijuana businesses in the county. We adjusted some of the language, sometimes where it said, this measure will, or revenue from this measure will go to. We just changed those words to would go to, because we don't want to imply that, this is in fact for sure going forward. Commercial marijuana is going forward. This is really only about the tax structure if needed in the future. And then the last part, we also added what is now the third paragraph there. We added, we changed the language to say, yes, vote on Measure M will ensure there is a mechanism to fund local enforcement of illegal activity. We added, in the event Tuolumne County is ever required to legalize marijuana businesses. And that was, what Supervisor Royce had been getting at with the state or any other potential that could come down on the county. So this is about securing our future, as it says there at the bottom paragraph. So.
Any questions? Any more public comment on this matter? All right. I think you did a good job. I picked the right two supervisors to work on that, didn't I? You probably didn't do anything, no?
Okay, thank you,
No.
Liz.
Yeah.
All right.
Autopilot, let her do her thing.
So let's go ahead and bring it back for a motion.
I'm sorry, Supervisor.
You're not done?
No.
All right.
So there is the rebuttal piece. If you would like to designate the two supervisors to work on a rebuttal, should an argument in opposition be published? Again, those rebuttals are due August 6th, and so your board won't have an opportunity to meet again to approve that rebuttal. Or you could, if you are interested, set a special meeting to consider that rebuttal as a full board.
Okay. So the two supervisors are appointed as such a good job on this. We'll go ahead and appoint them to do that also.
No good deed ever goes unpunished.
That's right. That's right. Does that work a lot better than a special meeting?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So is that going to be part of the motion?
Sure, so moved.
Yes, please.
Okay. So I lost track. A motion by Supervisor Royce.
A second.
Second by Supervisor Brennan. Call for the vote. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Supervisor Roder absent. All right.
Can I get a 2-minute break?
2-minute break. And then we're going to... Oh, I didn't call for a no vote. Anyone opposed? No.
Ran out of people to vote now.
Okay,
Still got a-
so we got a 2-minute break, and then we have one other new item that we're going to talk about. I'm getting tired. We don't want any more money. Got costing us money.
Just get it when it gets back, get it on the agenda. tell one. It's the same as the other one. Phase one's stricken. This is the first time I've seen it.
Okay, so, oh, there he is. Everybody's here that's going to be here. Mr. Pedro.
Okay, Mr. Chairman and members of the board, I have a non-agenda item for your consideration. It arose subsequent to posting the agenda, and that Benny just got some information, good information this morning, and requires action before your next meeting. So the item would be consideration of adopting a new resolution to allocate a California Department of Transportation Division of Aeronautics matching grant for Federal Aviation Administration AIP Grant 3-06-0047-018-2018 to fund the taxi lane rehabilitation and reconstruction project Columbia Airport and rescinding board resolution number 6418.
Need a motion for this new agenda item?
I'll move.
Motion by Supervisor Hanvelt, second by Supervisor Royce. All those in favor? Aye. Opposed? None. Passes 4-0. Supervisor Rutherford absent. All right.
Well, let me give you the short, and I'll let Benny give you the details. And it's all good news, good work on Benny's part. But the short of it, in order to take advantage of an offer of additional federal funding, so we can do, if you remember that last meeting, the board approved moving forward with the base bid on this project at the Columbia Airport, but didn't have enough money to move forward with the bid alternates. We're being offered funding to move forward with all the alternates at the Columbia Airport. But in order to do that, conversing with council, because the feds need to know right away, we need to adopt a new resolution. And all I did is gave you, behind the non-agenda language, was the resolution that you adopted. And all you'd be doing is adopting, didn't have time to retype, but all you'd be doing is changing in the first whereas, where it's in the end of the second sentence. When it talks about reconstruction, construction, it says phase 1. At the Columbia Airport, we would simply strike phase 1, and that would be your new resolution. Otherwise, it's exactly, because it wouldn't be a phase 1 and a phase 2 or whatever. This would be the whole project in one fell swoop. But Benny will give you the details, and then we'll talk, budget and contracts.
All right.
Thank you. So I got to work thinking I was going to spend a few days just catching up. Instead, I was asked to jump in and swim as fast as possible. Just this morning, the Federal Aviation Administration District's office in San Francisco gave me a call and asked if Tuolumne County would like to accept additional funding for the project that you approved on July 3rd. In my past career, these calls have come from time to time, but they are generally rare. But it is a good test for the county to be able to accept these type of funds and use them appropriately, as it kind of puts you on a short list with the ADO whenever additional funding becomes available in future years. So the specific problem we have is the FAA would like to fund all of the ad alternates for the grand total of $1,497,755. Sorry. And it would be, if you direct your attention to the end of the memo that I wrote at the very end, the total for additive alternates numbers 1 through 5. If you look at the top portion is the breakdown of what the new match would be. If you will remember at the July 3rd meeting, the state matching grant is capped at $50,000 this year, so that would not apply to this new addition to the grant. So we would be funding the match in full for a total of $149,776. We would need to make a commitment to match in that amount in order to accept an additional $1.3 $3,047,980.
Okay, sounds like good math.
So where do we come up with the additional dollars? This would be stepping out in faith between now and your final budget hearing that we will find that much money in hopefully one-time funds, perhaps through fund balance, other unanticipated revenues. This is the kind of opportunity, kind of like, carpe diem, seize the day, when you're facing something like this. So we would come back with at a subsequent meeting, perhaps as late as the budget hearing. I may have to come back sooner, but hopefully we can hold that off until the budget hearing, where we will find the money in order to match. As far as the contract, we will also need to return to revisit the contract with George Reed, they were awarded the project or the contract on the base bid only. We would come back at a subsequent meeting to amend that contract to cover all these bid alternates as well. Don't need to do that today. We just need to be able to communicate back to the feds that we're willing to accept their money and step up and provide the match. And just so you can see if you want to look at it, but the package that had the non-agenda on it, on the inside of the last page, it shows the summary of what the grant was before when it was just the base bid. So it's really clear. We'll be taking Benny's numbers on those ad alternates and increasing the federal amount, increasing the county match, and increasing the bottom line, including the $50,000 from the state. And that's what that new grant application would look like. Again, this happens so fast. Literally, as I'm coming off the dais at your afternoon break, I'm getting a call to call Benny ASAP. So we just didn't have time to put all that together. So I think it's a great opportunity for the county, sticking our necks out a little bit, but I have confidence we can find that. We need to find that. It's the right thing to do. And again, hats off for the good work of Mr. Benny here to put us in position, to get this opportunity.
Absolutely. Any board questions? Other than a job well done, Benny.
So again, just for clarity, you'll be approving this new resolution, which will be exactly like, it'll be rescinding 6418, but it'll be exactly like this. It will just drop that phase one. Otherwise,
Okay.
It's exactly the same resolution.
All right. Any public comment?
Well, that's a boatload of money we stand to get, so Benny can be my favorite today. And that isn't very much of a match. And I know when Leon and the Meals on Wheels Committee does a fundraiser, he can usually make $100,000. So it seems to me these people out at Columbia Airport ought to be really happy at getting all these additives. So perhaps they could do a little fundraiser out there too and help with this match.
Sure.
Good idea. Thank you. All right. I'm going to bring it back to the board for a motion.
Happy to move on staff recommendation, and excellent work. You're a stud. This is great news.
Second. And
Okay. Supervisor Hanville has a comment.
I just want to comment and thank Benny for the world has changed since you've been here from the airport point of view, and I want to thank you for a good effort. These opportunities come because they have confidence in our ability, your ability in particular, to make these things happen. And that's another example of why Tuolumne County stands out in the state of California these days. And it's the effort that we put in and our people like you put in. So I want to thank you for your extra effort and making it happen. Thanks.
All right. So we have a motion by Supervisor Royce, a second by Supervisor Brennan. All those in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Passes 4-0. Supervisor Rutherford's not here again. We're going to have to give him heck. With that, I'm going to adjourn the meeting.
thank you, Benny.
Thank you, Ben.
Oh.